the only live webcast that brings you the passion, the power, and the pulse of the mighty One New Zealand Warriors. This is Ruin Hammer Live, the official webcast of Warrior Nation, who are the official Aussie-based Warriors supporters movement. I'm your host, Hammer. You can't see me. Technical difficulties. Once again, it's not Ruin Hammer without technical difficulties. Joining me tonight, as usual, is my co-host and fellow Warriors tragic Warrior-oo, Rob. How you been, mate? How's things?
Yeah, I'm going all right, thanks, mate. Probably a little bit better than you. At least my camera's working tonight. But we thought, I don't know, you had some plastic surgery or you got a bad haircut or something. You just don't want to show your face. But yeah, as you said, mate, we've got a bit of a track record of having technical difficulties, especially when we've got some legends of the club on the line ready to have a chat. So yeah, but just par for the course. But doing well. Everything good down Sydney.
Yeah, mate, not too bad. I did buy a new cam. It's working fucking perfectly at the moment. I just want to give a shout out to my mum who's in hospital. She's having an operation on Friday to have a pacemaker put in. So I know she'll be watching tonight. So just want to give her a shout out and let her know that I'm thinking of her.
All the best,
mate,
Mary.
mate.
Yeah, all the best from us.
Yeah. But as I did say in the opening, mate, we are Ruin Hammer, the official webcast of Warrior Nation. We're now going live on our Ruin Hammer Facebook page, our Ruin Hammer YouTube channel, and of course the Warrior Nation Facebook page, with the blessing of the Warrior Nation Godfather, Richie Morgan. Mate, on tonight's show, we're going to look at the Warriors round 19 game against the Tigers, the Warriors women's round 2 game against the Eels, a quick review at the NRL and NRLW, and preview this week's round of footy. But before we do all that, we've got a bit of a special guest joining us tonight. Mate, if you want to bring him in, I'll give him a bit of an info. Hopefully our viewers will be able to see him, even though they can't see me. But tonight we're joined by an absolute rugby league, a man who played 313 NRL games, 222 at the Bulldogs, and 91 at our beloved Warriors. He represented Queensland in 21 Origins and played 16 tests for the Kangaroos. Make him welcome. Thanks for joining us. Warrior 121, Steve Price. Hey, Pricey, how are you, mate?
Good, mate. Very good, thank you. How are you? We're doing well. Mate, you can see the joy written all over Hammer's face.
Yeah. Oh, mate. Mate, it's great to have you on, Pricey. I don't know if you recall, but the last time you joined us on the webcast, it was the 6th of July 2021. So it's just over. It's also the longest webcast that we've ever done. We were live with you for over 3 hours. It was such an epic night for two numpties who, like Rob and I, just chat with you about your career. No, I don't know if we're going to go 3 hours tonight, mate. Let me start. Firstly, as a proud Queenslander, what were your thoughts on the Origin series that's just played out? Another Queensland series. What do you think of that series for the Mighty Maroons?
Oh, it was a typical Origin series, mate. I mean, you see what happened in the first game, and New South Wales were quite dominant. Queensland were able to come back in the second game, and most pundits here thought that it was a bit of a fluke and that New South Wales would definitely bounce back and it'll be a little bit of a embarrassing game in Sydney. So for our guys to go and do what they did and to do it for the length of period they did, which was pretty much the 80 minutes, was quite remarkable and really proud of them. I was blown away by their performance. Knew that they could do it, obviously, but wasn't sure what was going to happen, as Origin is about, and they couldn't have executed any better.
Yeah, both squads had plenty of Origin debutants this season. Sorry, go on.
Go, Rob. Sorry. No, you're right.
Okay, sorry. Both squads had plenty of debutants this season. So take us back to your Origin debut. So it was Game 1, 1998. What's it like hearing your name read out when they announced the squad and then, obviously playing in that Origin arena?
Yeah, well, it actually wasn't read out when the names did get read out. And back then, it was done on the radio. So I wasn't actually named in the original team. Brad Gawn was named, and then he pulled out. So I just got a phone call on the Sunday and said, "Can you come into Coogee? That's where we're in camp, and you're in the Origin team." So yeah, it all sort of happened quite quickly and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, it was what I'd always done, was to play for Queensland, and to do that, I was pinching myself. I couldn't believe it. I think my biggest problem was I didn't actually believe I deserved to be there. I just was surrounded by all these players in this room with the coach of Wayne Bennett against the players that we were against. And yeah, I was just pinching myself going, how is this even happening? And probably played like that for the first couple of years and then got dropped, and then fought my way back into the team and really, I suppose, wanted to prove to myself that I deserved to be in that arena. And I went on then to absolutely have a ball, prepared the way I prepared for how I would in a club game. And it was amazing.
You're part of actually. I was going to say, you're part of that infamous period of dominance by Queensland in the Origin. You're playing in those first 4 of those 8 consecutive series wins. That was special. That was such a special team. Tell us about that experience, mate.
Yeah, it was a special team, but when you think about how it happened, and this is what Origin's all about, right? 2005, we're on the cusp of losing our 4th series in a row. New South Wales, if they won that series. So game 1, we lost by 1 point. I think Brett Finch might have kicked the field goal in the last minute in Sydney. Then all the talk was Dad's Army, Darren Lockyer, Steve Price, Petro Sivanasiva. Mal, it was his first year as coach in the Queensland Origin arena. So he pulled us in and basically said, "Boys, we lose this game 2, that'll be your last game you're playing Origin. We can't keep doing what we're doing. We've got to make changes if we can't win." And that's what's going to happen. So, we obviously went in knowing that the other boys didn't, and we had some pretty decent kids in our team who became Origin legends. Jono, Cameron Smith, Billy Slater, Greg Inglis. You go through them. There's a few of them that are pretty decent. And we won that game, I think, 30-6. We were very dominant. It was all on effort, very similar to actually game 3 the other day. No one gave us a chance. We just concentrated on defence and being very aggressive. And, that worked for us, but still go to Melbourne and we lose that game with the same result, right? So we go down there, nothing goes our way. And then all of a sudden, Thirsty made a little bit of a half break, put Tatey through. He went around and scored, and then obviously that try that Darren Lockyer scored, and off a mistake from Brett Hodgson, bad pass, picked up the crumbs, and we ended up winning that game. And then that was the start of an eight in a row where we were like inches, centimetres, millimetres away from being 4 down. First time ever, no team had ever been in that situation. So even every one of those 8 games that we won, or 8 series, that we won, there was always a time in every game, in every one of those series, where either team could have won.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, New South Wales might have given a penalty away or made a mistake, and we were able to, make them pay for that and then go on and win that series. And that happened, obviously, 8 times in a row.
It's funny, isn't it? Because there was on paper it looked so dominant, but you're absolutely right. There was most of the time it was 2-1. It was I think it was only 3-0 once in that whole series of 8 in a row for Queensland. So yeah, it usually ended up being 2-1 most years, and a lot of them were very close games. There's very few like floggings in there from Queensland. But what was one moment that really stands out for you from your part in that? That Queensland dominance there.
I'd say those little moments that really change games. So when you look at that game 3 in Melbourne, when Jono did do that little show and go, sort of went through, then passed the Tatey, and then he was able to run around him like an under-9s, fastest kid in the team, run down the outside, and then Lockie just having that awareness to really push up hard in the line. Hodgson's coming up, passes, it doesn't hit the player, it bounces straight into his hands, and he's under the posts. There's only certain players that can do that, and we were lucky enough to have one on our team that did it, and he didn't just do it once. He did that a number of times, whether it was for Queensland or Australia, and that sometimes was the only difference between the teams, is just given an opportunity, and we had players that could take advantage of that opportunity and we'd make them pay. So, just to be able to play with those guys, see them grow and develop and become big names of our game through that period, I suppose was very special as well, because we don't win one of those two games and there's me, Petro, Lockie gone. And I'm not saying if we're gone that we don't win, but that completely changes the makeup of our team. And we're going through that, not rebuild stage, and we're trying to pick players to try and find the answer to beat New South Wales, right? Whereas we were able to keep that pretty much same squad for that 8 years, and the combinations that we built, the confidence that those guys grew over time on those big stages really made it.
Yeah. It was interesting. Well, from a Queensland point of view, it was fantastic. Hammer's a New South Welshman, so he probably wouldn't have enjoyed it as much. But
I'm a Kiwi
first and a Blue second. But that's all good. Just while we're on the topic of Origin, something that's come up quite a few times that we've spoken about on the show is around the sort of the area of eligibility. So I remember a while ago they changed it so the players had to have lived in the state before their 13th birthday in order to qualify. But there's constant talk about opening up Origin to players of other nationalities, like players of the Kiwi aligned. There was a time when Sam Burgess, I think, wanted to play Origin. So what are your thoughts about potentially opening up Origin to everyone else, or are you more of a traditionalist?
That's a no from Steve. And the reason why the boys want to play it, mate, is because of what it's become.
Yeah.
So you take those, and you know what, we are pushing the boundaries now. Like, if we're being honest, the New South Wales backline is the Samoan backline.
It is, yeah.
Which, I think, the problem is that that's under the International Rugby League Federation, with the eligibility in regards to first tier, second tier countries. So obviously, historically, there's always been New Zealand, England, and Australia have been number one tier, and then everyone else is second tier. And to try and grow a game, there wasn't any problems with Papua New Guineans or Fijians or Samoans or Tongans playing in State of Origin if they were born and bred, qualified under all the rules of playing Origin, to then go and play there, because most probably they wouldn't have made the Australian team, because the Australian team was usually picked first. They didn't make that, then they'd go and play for those countries. Now players are starting to make the decision the other way, which, Mel hasn't really pushed that. You'd probably think Stephen Crichton would be first chosen for Australia, but he's never been first chosen, which has been unusual. I mean, Luai, there'd probably be a couple of guys in front of him to be chosen. To'o, you'd probably say potentially should be one of the first ones chosen.
Yeah.
Spencer Lenu's only just come onto the scene. Who else have we got? There's a number of the boys, right? And people will straight away say, well, he can't talk because there's been plenty of Queenslanders as well. But when the Queenslanders were doing it, it was more legitimate, whereas now you've got, Tonga and Samoa playing in World Cup finals or Pacific Cup finals. I think that that says that they're a powerhouse in the world, right? So
absolutely.
Guys being born in Australia, growing up in Australia, if you choose to play for Samoa, if you choose to play for Tonga, if you choose to play for New Zealand or England, just like Victor Radley, just like anyone who's decided to play for New Zealand, then you don't play Origin. So that's where I reckon we've got to get to, and we've got to do it at an age of, 16, 17, whatever that. You make the decision then and there, and if you choose you're playing for Australia, don't then say you want to go and play for Samoa because my dad's heritage and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Understand that at the time you are growing up as Samoan or whatever it might be, then that is what you're going to do. Now, the other side of that is we as a sport need to offer those guys more games for those countries. So my take on that is let's make the weekends separate on, so we don't play NRL games on the back of a Origin game. So I have 3 weeks in the middle of the season where 3 weeks in a row we're going to play our 3 Origin games. And guess what? Samoa, all the Pacific Islands are also going to play at that same time so that guys aren't necessarily going to lose match fitness for their club. They're going to get to represent their country, so they're not missing out on games, potentially pay. It's not going to be as much as what they pay in Origin, because Origin is the reason why the NRL has got as much money as it has, right? And unfortunately, New Zealand and also England don't have that cash cow. So that's the challenge. By playing more of those games, hopefully brings the international game, and play it in Samoa, play it in Tonga, play it in New Zealand, play it in Penrith, wherever, play those games there. So you might have Origin on a Wednesday or Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're playing your Pacific Cup games. That has that 3-week window, and then bang, we're back into NRL again. There's no teams that are going to be, limited because there's so many Origin players that are playing, buys, all that sort of stuff. We eliminate all that. It really gets those guys proud of playing for those countries as they say they are, which I love, but give them the opportunity to do that and let the kids who have said they want to play for Australia represent their states. And people might say, well, that's going to, bring down the talent, but I guarantee you, if one of those fellas who hasn't played gets the opportunity, it'll be the same conversations we're having as what Tommy did and all these guys in the past that have just stepped up and become different players because they've been given that chance. So I feel sorry for the kids who are behind. And again, I'm not just pointing to New South Wales because we've got guys in the Queensland team. Murray Tulangi was and same with Nano.
Yeah.
And we've got a number of people doing the same thing. So I'm not just pointing at New South Wales, but if you're a young back or a young forward who aspires to play for Australia and you're not getting to play for your state because there's a player who's playing for a Pacific Island country that should be potentially a tier 1, if we're looking at rankings at the moment, then that would be a real sour taste in your mouth, right? So that's my only negative at the moment around eligibility. And it's a definite no for letting other people come in and play, only because the reason why they want to is because it is such an amazing game of rugby league, and it's become that because of the eligibility around it.
Yeah.
It'll just be an all-star game, which that's not the rivalry of New South Wales and Queensland.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much history behind it, and it's all. And back in the day, it was always like it was considered to be the trial to making the Australian team. Like you did really well in Origin. You made the Australian team. Look at that 1995 Fatty Vorton's Neville Nobodies, 100%. And all that. And so many of those guys were rewarded for really good form in that series and went on to play for Australia. So I mean that's what I sort of traditionally liked about Origin as well. And you're right, like it sort of opens it up to an All Stars, and I think that's why they tried to bring in the NRL All Stars at the start of the year, but it just didn't have the same allure, really. And
mate, you get games like we had in Sydney where you look at the actual. I didn't see the odds, but if you're saying who's going to win this game, New South Wales did a bit of a job on us in the first game. Second game, we were doing a job on New South Wales, but they come back and probably should have won that.
Yeah.
Game 3, everyone was writing Queensland off. And that's what Origin's about, right? So there is a lot of that pride thing of where you come from, and then you obviously aspire to play for your country. And no disrespect to all those boys that I named before, because I love that they want to play for their heritage. I love that. But if you're not playing for Australia, you shouldn't be playing for State of Origin. You shouldn't be playing, for Queensland or New South Wales. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. No, that's
agree.
Yeah, it's really interesting to hear that. So agree.
Pricey,
Yeah, you're doing
can I ask you
a bit of work for
hang on,
the.
bro.
Sorry, we got a little bit of a delay going on here. I just wanted to ask you about your
I just want to
role at
jump
the
in.
QRL at the moment. Yeah.
I can answer whichever question you want. So if you want me to answer that question and then answer your question,
I was whilst we were just talking about Origin, I just want to get your thoughts because you've alluded to the fact that New South Wales was so dominant in that, and Billy came out and made a really tough call or a hard decision to sack the Queensland captain, Daly Cherry Evans, and bring in Tom Dearden to start. And everyone was, well, there were sides that were critical of him. Others thought it was quite a brave move. And history will show that it was a really smart and astute move because Dearden comes out and wins Man of the Series with 2 great performances for Queensland. As a Queenslander at the time, I'm just curious to know, what did you think of Billy's decision then and there before Game 2 was played? What did you do that decision?
I really like Daly, and I'm trying to be very respectful here, but I thought that Tommy should have been named halfback in the first game, but I was absolutely fine with Billy naming DCE because of everything he's done for Queensland. That's what we've done in the history of Queensland, right? That's what we've done. So, and I'm not saying that game 1 he didn't deliver, but I think Billy might have had in his mind the same type of thought process, and then it's just gone, you know what, there's going to have to be a time where I make this call. And I don't believe that it's not saying as big a gamble as what everyone made out it to be, because I do believe that it was a toss of the coin on who was going to be picked for the first game anyway. And I think obviously being the captain, didn't win the series, but weren't far off winning the series in that last game. Just missed a couple of opportunities, and I suppose Billy, just out of respect, gave him that opportunity, and I hope that Daly has taken it that way too, because, mate, one of the things that you got to understand in Origin is nothing's ever given, and that you absolutely cherish every moment you get, and that you never get upset when you don't get that opportunity, only because there's a reason, mate. And Billy, that's his job. He's got to make those calls. And if he believed that, then you respect that and then you back him. And that's what Tommy did. That's what DCE did. And you know what? It worked out to be the right decision, didn't it? But it mightn't have gone that way. It still would have been the right decision because Billy made it. That's his job.
Yeah, absolutely. Apologies for some of the technical difficulties we got coming through here. Hammer's camera is not working tonight, and I thought there was a little bit of a delay. So it's hard to. We're sort of coming up with questions off the cuff for Pricey here, and it's hard to know when I can't see him. So apologies for sort of talking over there. Apologies, Pricey, as well. Sorry for both jumping in there. But yeah, my question was also just going to be about the work that you're doing with the QRL at the moment. You tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, mate. So October last year, I applied for a role, which is regional manager of Central Region, and I was fortunate enough to get the role, and I've absolutely loved it. There's been a lot go on since coming into the role. We've had a restructure. There's been a number of staff that took redundancies. We didn't lose any headcount, but what we did was sort of change our management structure. So instead of having sort of higher managers, we went for less of those and we went more people on the ground. As I was saying to you just before the show, it's more around the compliance side of rugby league. So facilities, making sure they're up to scratch, all in community rugby league. So all of your state sort of community-based rugby league. Also, another part of our business is the high performance part, but that's another department, which is State of Origin and all those pathways sort of selection teams. But from our perspective, it's under sixes through to A grade in the local comps for young boys and young girls and young women and young men and even old men and old women who are still playing. So making sure, that all the compliance is there, if there's any sort of code of conduct breaches, scenarios with referees. Oh, here we go.
He's always back.
It was better before, mate.
Thanks, Pricey.
So that's what I've been doing, mate, learning so much. And you know what? I've actually got a huge understanding and a massive respect now for all the volunteers in any sport, let alone just rugby league. I was very, very lucky to have played for a club that had a lot of volunteers, and you don't actually appreciate and understand the amount of work that everyone puts in just to get you to be able to play footy every weekend, right? And I'm seeing that firsthand now, and it is a lot harder these days because when I grew up, or when we grew up, Monday to Friday, you might do a half day Saturday, mum and dad, but they'd be 9 to 5. Now we've got shift work, we've got FIFO, we've got all sorts of different offerings of, and challenges for families. And it is a lot harder because time is money, right? So if you're giving up your time to be a volunteer in sport, then that's limiting the opportunity you can earn for your family. So, and particularly the pressures on society at the moment with the cost of living and all that sort of stuff, both in New Zealand and Australia, is really challenging. So I think Benny Eichen, states a bit of data. The amount of people in the Queensland Rugby League alone that are volunteers, if we were to pay them, I think it's 20 or 25 bucks an hour, which is pretty modest, right? If they were getting paid that much, it'd cost the QRL, I think, around about 120 million. So it just sort of goes to show the amount of, what we do need for our game to be surviving is all of that time and effort from so many people who are giving up their time for free. So if we didn't have that, not even State of Origin could allow us to be able to support that sort of figure. And that's just for our volunteers, right? So that doesn't go into anything else. So we're very, very lucky to have that network of volunteers, which is becoming more and more challenging every year, but so lucky, mate.
Mate, let's go back in time. We'll stop talking about Queensland and Origin. You had such a wonderful career that started at the Bulldogs, where you played 222 games, including 3 grand finals, 2 premierships. Can I take you back, mate? Do you remember your first grade debut? Where was it played? Who did you play against?
You know what? This is a question I've been asked, and I think it's Balmain, right? I think it's the Tigers.
It is. Yes.
I absolutely, I could swear that my debut was against Manly at Belmore, but it wasn't. And you know what? The reason why I say that is because back when I came through, you'd play under 21s or reserve grade, and then the manager, team manager would come and tap you on the shoulder, give you a jersey sitting on the bench for A grade, and you'd sit there. You most probably wouldn't get a run, but that's when you make your debut, right? It's not planned or anything. Pricey, you're on, and off you go. So that's how it happened. And in my head, obviously it wasn't the first game. That was probably the 3rd or 4th game. It was against Manly. But, it was against Balmain, who would have had Steve Roach, Tim Brusher, Paul Serran.
Benny Elias.
Benny Elias was done. But, those type of players, right, which, again, growing up, watching them, pretty impressive. And but, I'm playing with Terry Lamb and Dean Pay, and not bad either, right? So, I was pretty lucky.
Mate, I know how you feel, but I don't know how you feel. I played lower grades at the Bears for a few seasons, and I was playing reserve grade in '89 with legends of the game like Kerry Boosted and John Doherty at the Bears. But, that kind of thing. You play President's Cup, and then you'd sit on the bench for reserve grade and you get on, and then you'd sit on the bench for first grade. And I had a wonderful first grade career. I played a grand total of 0 first grade games. But, I kind of understand where you're coming from. What's that?
Did you sit on the bench first grade?
Sat on the bench for first grade many times, because back in those days, so that was the late 80s, and they'd only ever named two reserves for first grade.
Yes.
And then, so you'd have to play at least half a game in 21s or 23s, or President's Cup it was called. And then when you finish that, you get asked to sit on the bench. And and if you got on in reserve grade, then you could sit on the bench for first grade. And it was like 20 blokes sitting on a bench with blankets around them, just waiting for that call that never came. And once a couple of the reserves went on, that was when you could break out the lollies and start eating.
That's right. Yeah, well, we had bench lotto. So if you're one of the lucky ones to get on, you won the bench lotto as well. So everyone will put in $5 each. And like you say, there's about 20 of you. So, the person who actually got on cleaned up a couple of times. But, it was very much like that. The players that were those two named, when I came through, that was number 40 or 41 or something like that, because we went from number 1 to 13, and then you went from 14 to 27,
26,
to 28 to 36. So that was the way it was. And then 40 and 41, I think, were the ones who are named as the bench players. They could go on and go off as much as they wanted, but if we went on, only had 2. If you went on, that was it. You went on, stayed on. If you came off, you'd be short a player. Yeah,
absolutely. Mate, as I said, you played in back-to-back grand finals in your first 2 seasons. Scored a try in the 95 grand final. I do recall you wearing headgear, I think, back then. Tell us what playing in an NRL grand final is like. What are the emotions like the week before the game day, and of course, what it's like to win a premiership.
Yeah, so 94, I was on the bench. So I didn't even go to the grand final luncheon because those 2 players that were named, they went. But there was pretty much a reserve grade side sitting on the bench with those 2. So we were just in the background for the week, kicking the ball around while the first graders trained. And then come grand final day, we got dressed and we went. Sadly, great for me, but sadly for Darren Smith, he was going to the Broncos in 95. So because pretty much from the kickoff, Marty Bella knocked the ball on, the game was over against the Raiders. And so the last 10 minutes, Chris Anderson put me on. And I think I was so excited, mate. I just couldn't believe it, right? Tina Turner's there. She sung before the game, like all this sort of stuff's happened and sell out at Sydney Footy Stadium. I actually did a lap of honour with the Raiders. I was that pumped. And everything like that. All the boys were back in the dressing room, all shattered. And then I've finished the lap of honour with the Raiders and then come back in the round. And then I've come in the dressing room and then seen, Terry Lamb in, absolute devastation. And other guys just going, oh, my God, man. And Bullfrog comes up to me and goes, mate, you never want to feel like this ever again. And I go, are you serious? This is unreal, mate. Like, I've just played in the grand final, NRL grand final. And he goes, no, you don't ever want to feel like this ever again. And so it wasn't until the next year when I started and we won and I understood what he was talking about. That was incredible, mate. The whole lead into it, we play against Manly, who I think only lost 2 games all year.
Yes. Red
hot favourites, shouldn't have won the game. Terry Lamb gets 10 minutes. We did everything we could not to win it, but we won it, right? And, it was quite amazing. It was definitely a Cinderella sort of story. I think we come from 5th or something like that to also win it, and who we had to play to get there, what happened along that journey, just crazy stuff, right? So, that blew my mind. And as you say, that was my first 2 real seasons I went down in 92. So 93, I played sort of 21 reserve grade. 94 was reserve grade and a little bit of first grade. And then 95 was reserve grade and, a fair bit more first grade. And I thought, this whole grand final stuff's easy, right? Like, we're going to be in it every year. And, this is good fun. So, unfortunately, that's when it stopped for a couple of years. And then we get back in there, obviously, 98, which, again, bit of a fairy tale run.
Yeah, that's right.
And almost nearly did the Cinderella again.
Yeah, we played over 200 games.
So when back when you won the premiership in 95, did they give out rings then? Was it grand final rings or was it the
no, they were medallions. Yeah, they were medallions. Yeah, okay. So 94, I got a medallion, which was all silver. And then in 95, when we won it, it was all silver, and then the actual Winfield Cup logo is gold. So that was the only difference between the winner and the loser. Or runners up, sorry, you shouldn't say loser. Runners up. And then 96, I think, is when they started rings. And that was in 96 was when Newcastle won. I'm pretty sure they were the first ones to get rings. And then 97 was obviously Super League ARL. And then 98. Unless 98 was the first year, but I thought that the Knights got a ring. I think they did in 96. Okay. Yeah. They won in 96, didn't they? They beat Manly.
No, Manly won in 96. Manly beat St George. So 97.
97.
Knights won the ARL in 97. They beat Manly. Yeah.
Might have been 97, maybe. Yeah. I was pretty sure they got a ring. Anyway, I don't know if the Dragons, whether they got a ring or a medallion in 96. Maybe it was a medallion.
1995, that was the last ever Winfield Cup, actually, funnily enough.
It was.
It changed to...
that might have been why it changed, right? Because, maybe Manly did. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, you can only ask those guys when you have them on.
We'll have to try and find that out. Yeah.
Whoever won in 97 or whoever won in 96, find out. They'll be able to tell you.
Yeah, we'll find out somehow. Yeah.
We'll get Matt Ridge on. We'll ask him.
Matthew Ridge would know. Yeah. We'll have to try and get him on. So you played over 200 games for the Bulldogs, and unfortunately you missed out on playing in the 2004 grand final due to injury. But speaking of rings, you did end up getting one from Jonathan Thurston.
Yeah, Jono. So what happened was that was the first year they put numbers on the ring, and I was named, like Folksy really kindly named me number 10, even though he knew I was going to play. And Jono came into the team, but he was number 18, and the NRL had organised that I was going to get a ring if we won, but Jono didn't know that. When you see the boys going through getting presented their rings, you'll see them look at it and then swap because they didn't get their number. And then Jono, crazily, he got given number 10. So that's why he comes straight to me and he goes, mate, this is actually your ring. And I'm sort of going, oh, no, because I'm knowing that it's going to be sorted. It's all good, mate. And he's going, nah, you deserve to have this. I wouldn't have been here unless it was for you, blah, 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 which is so humbling. And, he was 19. He was going to the Cowboys. And this isn't any disrespect, but who was to know who was ever going to play in another grand final? I know it does the next year or whatever, but who was to know that was going to happen, right? For him to do that was, we know who the person is now before he became the legend, but he was like that as a kid too. So, it was a very, very special moment, mate, and one of those moments, I suppose, in grand final folklore that'll be talked about forever. And I'm so glad that I get to experience that in one positive way out of something that was a bit negative in my life at the time, but still a positive thing, right? I'm being really selfish if I'm saying it's a negative, because at the end of the day, as a group of men, we started out in November in 2003, wanting to win that competition in 2004, and we did. So I suppose what that experience gave me was a very good appreciation of what it does take to win a comp. If I had been captain, we won the game, I played played a big part in the grand final and all that, I wouldn't have even known that part of it, and probably been not disrespectful for the guys, I just wouldn't have known, right? But then to actually experience it, you actually do feel like a Harry. You don't feel as though you're a part of it, and it doesn't matter what people tell you or what people say, your name's actually not on the team sheet, and you didn't play any minutes on the night, right? So that's the sort of bit that is definitely recognised, and so it should be, right? But I really got an appreciation for what every team, what it takes to win a comp, and that's why it's so special.
Yeah, certainly, like you touched on, a bittersweet way to leave the Bulldogs, but you do end up coming over to our Warriors, which is the part that we really love talking about. Before I get to you joining the club in 2005, I have to bring up this game because it's so dear to all the Warriors supporters' hearts. Is the 2003 semi-final at Warriors versus Bulldogs? Francis Melly with 5 tries. You were obviously playing for the Bulldogs that night. What do you remember about that? Because for us, it was one of the greatest games in Warriors history.
I just remember being behind the try line a fair bit and talking about what we're going to do off the kickoff. Yeah. I mean, mate, like, we had a really good season that year. And, we were on the march to be in the grand final. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the Warriors, but we're playing a home semi-final and we're expecting we're going to get the week off. And we absolutely got a lesson. We got our asses handed to us. And it wasn't from arrogance. It wasn't from anything but the Warriors just were outstanding. They were just amazing. Which then I think that put us on the other side of the draw, which meant we had to play the Roosters before the grand final. And, we obviously we bashed ourselves. Probably should have been in the grand final, but we bashed ourselves. And then obviously Penrith went on and beat the Roosters because, that was probably the grand final played the week before. But, Warriors, what they did to us on that night, I can't understand why they didn't make the grand final.
Yeah, well,
that was their grand final. So they had a gun team, mate, and they played really well. Definitely, it was definitely we're not taken by surprise because we had absolute respect for the Warriors and knew how dangerous they could be. But they did an absolute job on us that night.
Yeah, a few guys that were for surely going to become your teammates. Like we mentioned Francis Melly, but like Clinton Torpey, Sione Falmawina, Brent Webb, Ofeko Paliacina, and all these guys are just. I just remember that night. That was like absolutely sublime footy from the Warriors.
Yeah, I think they had 30 players playing for them. They didn't have 7 men. I think got 30 of them. I got 30, and I got tackled, and I tackled 30. Yeah, no, they were unstoppable, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you end up joining the club in 2005, and we're very grateful you did. One of many signings for the club at that time. For us fans, you will always be remembered as a Warriors legend, helping us to bring success to the franchise that had been struggling. And that was through strong leadership on and off the field. And so when we look at the current Warriors side, one of the areas that seems to be leading to on-field success is stability within the club at the moment in leadership, including, Andrew Webster, Mitch Barnett, and the introduction of James Fisher-Harris as well this year. What are your thoughts on the current Warriors team, and do you see the leadership aspect as being a key ingredient for the success this year?
Yeah, I've been really impressed, mate. A couple of years ago, the club had a very, very good season, and we're one game away from a grand final. And the following year wasn't as good from obviously the heights that they'd been the year before. And there was a lot of people disappointed because the expectation was pretty high. And sadly, and I'm not being trying to be disrespectful, but that's been a little bit of a trait that the Warriors have had over their history, and I've been a part of teams that did that as well. The more expectation there was every preseason, almost the worse we go. When no one gave us a hope, that was the chance we were going to win the comp, and it's crazy how that happened. So I'd always say, please, media, don't say we're any chance, because that's when we're going to go. The old but I really like this squad that Andrew's been able to put together. And you've got to understand, when a coach comes in, you've got to give him 3 to 5 years, because he's taking a group of players that another coach believes was going to work, and they've been playing out his system. And a new coach comes in with a new system, and he's going to find his way on who's going to be able to do that, who's not going to be able to do it, then who's available that I know can do the job that I need to be done. That's the big challenge at the moment, particularly with the new teams coming into the comp. You had Redcliffe come in. That really, I suppose, dilutes the talent pool, and then the players that you really want that become available, they probably can't get, because the amount of money that someone like Redcliffe is going to pay for them to be able to attract them is a lot more than what you can probably afford. So they're the challenges that clubs are having at the moment. And some of the clubs that are stuck down the bottom of the table are finding it hard to get away from there, because there's none of those big names that have a big impact on teams available on the market. And then we've got Perth coming in and then Papua New Guinea coming in. So it doesn't look like it's going to change over the next few years. But what I really like about what the Warriors have done is they've picked players and they've developed them. And now, mate, those young back rowers that the club's got at the moment, what they did against, I think, was it Cronulla? Was absolutely tore them to bits. And it was, I started to think very much Ali Latidi, that type of thing. These guys, they're powerful, they're skillful, like they're aggressive. They're the whole lot, right? And then you got, Metcalf and, some of these subtle players that bring in that skill set and it just, bringing the team around. Chan's doing a really good job. Roger the Dodger, who's just amazing in no matter what position you put him in. And then they've got some really good other kids that are on edges, wingers and and centres. And really disappointing to lose, say, Mitch. I was really looking forward to the year he's had. I've been so impressed since he's been at the club, and he's grown as a player, and so glad. And I'm going to say this properly, even though he's a New South Welshman, I was so proud of him to get the leadership role. I think he really deserved that. And for him and Fish to get it together, I think what a great combination. When you're looking at front rowers, they don't play 80 minutes generally. So that's a really good way. Have a dual captaincy. They're both probably one of them's going to be on the field at some stage. And just what the money they have, really helps those young guys. So I really like the balance. I think, the signings that the club's made have been really good signings. They're not big names at other clubs, but they've been able to come to the Warriors and do a huge job, a real big job. Like Aaron Clark, he's been phenomenal. I've got him in my fantasy team. He produces, right?
Jackson Ford.
He's consistent. He's a ball player because he was a hooker, right, back in the day. And he's actually found what works for him, and that works in this team. And I love that type of thing. Then you got Kurt from an experience perspective. He's absolutely been a great buy for the club. And these challenges that the clubs have got. This challenge that the club's got at the moment with the injuries. What I do like is the guys they bring in are actually living that next man up mentality. And you can talk it all you want, but until you get that opportunity and you show it, that's when, it actually is a culture of the club. And I think the Warriors are starting to show us that at the moment. Tanner getting that opportunity, and it was he did a magnificent job, and he's only going to get better each week that he plays.
That next man up mentality is echoed by the fact that the reserve grade side's only lost one game this year. I think they've won 16 from 17. They've done 12 on the trot. So these guys are, they're ready for, they're itching, to get their opportunity. So when they get in there, they do a job. And Topiki's probably the epitome of that, who knows that he's got someone like Chance in front of him, but every time he gets an opportunity, he grabs it with both hands, and he's one of the best players out on the field every time he takes the field.
Yeah, well, there's a few of those guys in our comp, isn't there? I mean, you look at Sewer at Melbourne, and you look at the young bloke at he's not a young bloke actually, older bloke at the Dolphins who's waiting for Hammer to get injured or play Origin.
Craig Fuller.
Craig Fuller,
there's blokes everywhere that are like that, which is great for our game. But no, to answer your question, I'm really excited with the direction the club's going in, and just being able to get that consistency of player on the field. I know when that happens, I know when I was at the Warriors go better. It's been really interesting. The club's had a few more losses during this Origin period than what normally happens, but normally the club start as well as what they have this year either. So when I was at the club, we'd always start the year poorly, and then through Origin period we'd go on a run because we'd be over our injuries, and then we'd get this big run of 10 out of 12 games and make the finals. But the club, first game was not the result that you wanted in Vegas. But then after that, the boys went on a real run and have really put themselves in a really good position in the table at the moment. If they can keep that up, that's going to really hold for them going forward, as well as the guys that have to turn up and go there in those positions are going to be the players that are going to be standing up as well anyway. So they're going to get that confidence. Their teammates are going to get confidence in them and what they're doing. And, Webby will be able to find ways to play to their strengths, still under the same, game plan, which will be good.
Talking about you joining the club in 2005, mate, last time we had you on the show, and as I said at the beginning of the show, it was a 3-hour epic for Rob and I to sit there and chat, and you shared so many great stories with us. I'm wondering if you remember the funny story that you shared with us about one of your first training sessions at Mount Smart and a couple of young kids on the hill. And if you do remember that story, because we do go out to a broader viewership now, I'm wondering if you could share that story again for the people watching tonight.
Okay, so I was out at Waitaki. So that's where we were training at the time, because Mount Smart was out of action when I first came over to the club. So I've come over with a knee injury. My first training session, all I was doing was walking around the running track. And a couple of Māori kids on the hill, Steve Price. And I go, hey, boys. Oh, you was at the Bulldogs, eh? And I said, yeah, I was at the Bulldogs. Oh, yeah. You was the captain, eh? And I said, yeah, I was the captain. Oh, you play with Sonny Bill Williams, eh? I said, yep, play with Sonny Bill Williams. Yeah, he's a good player. Oh, you signed with the Warriors, eh? And I said, yeah, that's probably why I'm at Waitakere in Warriors gear. Good one. Oh, man, I wish the Warriors had signed Sonny Bill Williams instead of you. So I thought, well, you know what? At least they know who I am, even if it's through Sonny Bill Williams. You know that I'm playing with the Warriors. And my wife and kids were still back in Australia. I just bought a house in Mount Eden. Oh, yeah, Balmoral. And, sort of the furniture hadn't arrived yet, so I was living with bare minimum. Had a big truck. What do you call them? A Suzu big truck. Is that what it is? Anyway, that was the car I had, which is straight from Japan. There's only one radio station you can get in New Zealand. I think that was Mai or something like that. Not many, if any, was the song by Scribe at the time. That played every sort of second or third song. So I'm going home to that from Waitakere, bawling my eyes out, going, they don't like me here. I want to go home. Oh, God. I love that. 100%. I haven't run into those kids since. I'll probably go, whenever I go to New Zealand now, there'll be a couple of Māori kids who'll start carrying on as those boys.
Yeah, those kids are probably about 30, 35 now. You kind of answered this question before, but I'll ask it again, because last year at Old Boys Day at Mount Smart, we played a game there against the Broncos. There's a great photo of you having a chat to Mitch Barnett in the change room.
All right.
And we all sort of looked at that as like, the old legend talking to the new legend kind of thing, the handing over of the guard. And it's obvious that you're a pretty big fan of Mitch Barnett. And we see a lot of what you brought to the club and your influence sort of in Mitch as well. Do you see like his leadership as one of his great strengths? Because he's not like you were a great leader, but you're also a great talker. And I feel like the leaders at the club at the moment sort of are more leading by actions. Whereas I think Mitch is developing that in his game, the more talking side of it.
Yeah, well, and when I was at the club, we had Ruben that did that, right? He didn't have to say much. He just led by his actions. So as we both know, or we all know, that I can talk, as you stated before. So don't mind doing it. But I've really loved watching the growth of Mitch. Like I was a fan of him even before he came to the Warriors when he was at Newcastle, and I really liked how he played. Really tough, very skillful, and I could see there was so much more in his game that if he was in the right conditions, in the right system, and in the right team, that he could be an absolute superstar for that team, and potentially go on and play rep footy. I could actually see that in him, but I was hopeful that he would actually realise that, And I think since Webby's obviously arrived, I reckon just the way Webby coaches and the type of style of player that he likes, I reckon that's really encouraged Mitch to be who he is. And I've messaged him a couple of times, and even with the leadership stuff, I just said, mate, you just be you. That's why you've been, given the opportunity. All it is a title beside your name. It doesn't change. Everything else is exactly the same, and that's why you've been given that role, mate, and you'll do it so well. And he has, mate. And I'm sure whilst he's not on the field at the moment, he's still playing a massive role in that team, off the field, and particularly with a lot of the young forwards in that team. And, as I said, I'm really proud of him. And I haven't had a whole lot to do with him, but I love the way he plays. He's probably one of my favourite players. I like how he goes about his work. He's a hard worker, no nonsense, plays by the rules, has absolute respect of every opponent, like the way he plays. I haven't seen anyone try and take him on, and he's just earned that through respect, right? So that's who you want to play with, and not always you want to play against. And he's earned that through just the way he plays his footy. So I hope that he comes back the same player after his injury, because it's a real bummer that he had that injury, because I thought this year was going to be, if you thought he had some good years in the last couple for the Warriors, I thought this year was going to be his real breakout year, which is a bit scary because he's been outstanding.
Yeah, injury rehab's really hard to come back through, and I think it's not a blessing in disguise. It's probably the wrong word to use, but I think with Luke Metcalf suffering a similar injury, I think Barney's going to be the kind of guy that gets Luke through this rehab period that he's got to go through as well, because they can go through that together. I think Barney's got that strength of character that's going to help Luke Metcalf go through it as well.
It's a really good point, mate.
Yeah,
it's a really good point. My son, he did his knee, right, ACL, and the first guy, Christian Walsh, he messaged him from the Storm and said, mate, don't see this as a setback, see this as an opportunity to improve, because he goes, at your age, 23, he goes, it's a really good opportunity for you to go to the next part of your career, right? He said, you're going to be able to strengthen parts of your body you've never really thought about or understood, and you're going to find out things about your body that you've never really understood in a way at a time in your career that's really going to help you go on and be a better player than what you ever thought you could be. So I reckon Mitchy would be exactly the same in that, because from what I remember, I think he has had a couple of injuries when he was younger. So it's not new to him. And as you say, he'll be a really good impact on the other players too going through those.
Well, I don't know if anyone remembers, but when he first joined the club, there was a period where he had a back injury, I think it was, and they were actually talking about a possible medical retirement where he may never play again. So he's been through some adversity, and Lukey Metcalf's been through it a couple of times now. Each season he seems to get a season-ending injury. That the fact that they can go through that rehab together, I think will be great for both of them. Yeah,
I reckon Webby will hope that doesn't happen next year, but at this time, I'm sure they both get through it all good.
Talking about the young guys, we spoke about it before. Throughout your time at the club, we had a lot of young homegrown talent come through that came into first grade. Guys like Simon Mannering and Sam Rapira, Russell Packer, Ben Muttolino, and of course the late great Sonny Fye. You spoke about it before against a game against the Sharks, but what are your thoughts on these young proper forwards coming through? Demetric Vaimonga, Jacob Laban, Leka Halasima, who's an absolute freak, and now young Tanner Stowers-Smith. What are your thoughts on these guys?
So exciting, mate. And I do see a little bit of a similarity to when the Warriors have had success. They've had a little bit of sprinkle of Aussie experience. And then these young kids that just keep on coming through, right? And that's sort of what happened when I went to the club. We had, I think, 12 or 13 Aussies, and your Grant Ravellis and your George Gaddis and Nathan Feen, whether you think he's Aussie or Kiwi, whatever, but born and bred Mount Isa. So I see a very similar situation right now in that mix is really good, and these young kids absolutely thriving with, your Kurt Capels and your Mitch Barnetts and, even Fish, even though he's a Kiwi, he's been in the Aussie system for so long, and he's a bit like Rubes coming back when he came back from the Raiders. Very similar scenario. So much mana and you can teach those young boys so much more sort of by training with them and playing games with them without talking, that that would have taken them years to get that same experience and that same knowledge.
Yeah, we had Whitty on the show a few weeks ago, and we were sort of discussing how this year's team kind of reminded him of the 2007 to 2008 sides that you captained into the finals. So some of the great Warriors memories of all time have been those home semi-finals that we've had at Mount Smart Stadium. How much of an advantage would that be for this current team to, finish top 4 and get those home finals?
Oh, huge, mate. And you look at every home game the Warriors have sold out, I think, in the last couple of years, which no other club's done that in 1 year, let alone it's a streak that's kept going, right? So it is a huge advantage. And that was one of the things that I used to say to the boys when I was at the Warriors, because I was one of those players who had to come over to New Zealand. And it's a big thing. When you're a Sydney team and you've got to travel to New Zealand, you've got to get to the airport 2 hours early, then it's a 3.5 hour flight. And then you got to clean your boots. You've got to do so much that's so different to every other trip that you normally do. When you're in a Sydney team, there's only 2 or 3 trips out of town that you do. Every other game is just drive there. So it was a big thing, right? And so I always say, when it was raining or when it was cold, it's our weather, boys. These guys don't want to come out of their hotel. They've got their room temperature at 24 degrees and it's dry. They're coming out to Mount Smart and it's going to be wet and it's going to be cold and it's going to be a lot of fans not on their side. That's quite intimidating, right? So you've got to use that. And the better the team goes, the more heightened that gets and the more intimidating that is. And, all of that sort of stuff. And I think that's one thing that they've been able to do really well, particularly over the last couple of years, is what the club does at their home games is now leading in the NRL as well as other sports with the light show. And it's an extravaganza, it's quite incredible. I'm here in Australia watching it and just going, this is unbelievable. It's like watching an NBA game in the US, right? And it's a rugby league game played in New Zealand. It's so good. And that's just the levels that the club's gone to over the last couple of years, and the footy team's backing that up. So I think it's a huge advantage that if the club can make it the top 4, that's going to be a huge advantage for the club to progress further into the semis.
I remember when we had Michael Luck on, he said one of the happiest places he ever was in the middle of Mount Smart Stadium in the middle of winter when it was raining and wet. The blackout at Mount Smart back in 2008, the infamous Ruben Wiki return off the kickoff, Sia Soliola lights out. Tell us about that game, mate. Because that's iconic. That's when everyone talks about top 5 Warriors games, that's always in the top 2.
Yeah, well, that was on the back of the game in Melbourne. So first time Team 8 had ever been Team 1.
Team 1,
in the semis. And, then we come home, which we weren't expecting because we were Team 8. So we just wanted to try and win. We didn't actually know what happened after we won. We just had to win, right? So we win, and because the other results went our way, we then get a home semi against the team who came 4th, who, if they had won, they would have got a home semi or the week off, right? So that was how and I think we were down 10-0 after about 10 minutes. Like things weren't going our way. And then, it just turned around. But, I suppose the biggest thing for me was I had to go around the other side of the field to do the toss. And, the north and the south stand were always chock-a-block because people would get there. It was the seats weren't paid for. It was like first in, best dressed. So it was always chock-a-block. And they started sort of chanting pricey as I'm walking around. And I got all emotional. So I've arrived at the toss and I'm crying. And Brad Fittler goes, mate, are you all good? And I'm going, oh, my God, just see that. Absolutely balling. He's going, oh, mate, we're going to win this game easy. But, it was so cool. And we used to always warm up on the backfield and we'd come through the tunnel. And, it was one of my favourite moments of rugby league was being able to run through that tunnel and hear the drums. And then once you got seen by the crowd, they just go absolutely nuts. And, it was really cool feeling, mate, that. And also whenever we'd score a try and I'd walk back and it'd be either the north or the south stand and everyone would be standing up cheering, and I'd just smile, and I had a white mouth guard, and they knew that I was smiling. It just gave you so much of a good feeling, and it was awesome. It was always awesome.
Yeah, Tatey, your brother-in-law Tatey, we had him on, and when we asked him about the 2008 blackout, he was like, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it, because he said like that it was just, the crowd was just at fever pitch, and he said that it was like the build up to a grand final the week prior, like tickets sold out early, and
the pitch, I think, got in and did his gig. He did unbelievable.
Yeah. And he said you guys were never going to lose that game. He said you went out there and you were never going to lose that game, and it was just at the end when Aiden Kirk took that intercept and scored, and it was just like the party was on. The crowd just rose as one. It was amazing.
No, it was really, really cool. And then, our dreams got broken the next week.
Oh, we don't talk about that. We our season ended that night. We just think of it like that.
We played our grand final. No rings handed out, but we played our grand final that night.
Yeah,
mate. As an Aussie that came to the club back at the end of 2004, you stayed for 13 years. You operated the business post footy. You did a bit of coaching as well. It's probably fair to say you enjoyed your time in New Zealand. What was it about the country and the club that you enjoyed the most?
I think how welcomed we were as a family. And I think that was the biggest challenge for me, making a decision, or, me and my wife and our family deciding to come to New Zealand, was whether they were going to actually enjoy the experience. Like, I knew that I was going to go to footy training every day, and that's what I did, and that's what I was going to do. And that's an easy part of it, right? But what you come home to every day is your family, your wife and your kids, and they go to school and they go to work, and are they enjoying it, and do they feel welcomed and all that sort of stuff? And that absolutely blew our minds. It became so much more than rugby league. And like you say, we stayed there 13 years, and if our family lived there, we would still be there. And, it's probably New Zealand's fault in a way that they taught us so much about family and the importance of the reason why we decided to move home, because we didn't want to have any excuses that if something happened in our family, that we weren't actually home and had spent time with our family. Because I think they're the little things that New Zealand taught us so much about, was, the importance of the whānau and all that. And it was a moment, I suppose, with where I was within the supermarket chain. I was ready to go to the next sort of level, into a new world, which was obviously going to be a lot more money and a bit more stress and everything like that. It's not why we left, but our kids were getting to that stage of finishing school. Jamie had just finished, Casey was going to finish, and Riley was only 3 years off finishing. So we thought, if we don't go now, then we are going to be staying there, because the kids will probably want to stay there and we'll want to be around our kids. So, we made the big call, mate. It was a tough one. And even Jamie, plays for the Diamonds, goes and plays in New Zealand against the Silver Ferns, and all of her schoolmates go and support her that she went to school with. They don't wear green and gold, but they still go and support her. So, where else does that happen? And who else does that happen for? So they're the really special things that our family has been able to experience. And when we were going through making the call, it was either go to England, stay at the Bulldogs, or go to the Warriors. And I really liked the opportunity of something different, but not too different. Yeah. And sort of then there was a bit of terrorism stuff going on. I thought if something did happen, we'd still be able to get home. But if we went to England, that's a lot harder to do, right? So, we made the big call to go to NZ, and crazy, mate. I've got to say, my family heritage, I've been, doing that Ancestry.com, and I think it's my great-great-grandfather. He was like a show, cattle show prize bull man, right, in Wales. And so when he moved out, he moved to New Zealand. He married a New Zealand lady, got pregnant, and then during the pregnancy, she actually passed, and so did the baby. And so then he went back to Wales, and then he decided to come to Australia. So my whole history could have been very, very different to what it had ended up being. And it's quite funny how I ended up going to New Zealand in a sports sort of way. And then I find all that sort of information out. And, yeah, it's crazy how sort of connections, through your ancestry happen in funny ways that you end up in a place that you don't know how you ended up there and why it means so much to you. And then, there's all different connections that can sort of answer those questions when you find them out.
We've always thought you're an honorary Kiwi anyway, mate. And the other thing too is just off the cuff, I just thought of this too, because you actually played for the All Golds as well, didn't you?
I did, yes.
Yeah. What was that experience like?
It was incredible. And that wasn't something you can aspire to do because it was the 100th year.
100th anniversary, yeah.
You got to be playing footy at the time, I suppose. They wanted Thursday. They wanted Lockie. They wanted Joey. They all got injured. And Steve Price was in New Zealand. So I think that was the cheapest and best option for him that was left. And I jumped at the opportunity and, to do the haka in front of the Queen at Buckingham Palace.
Yeah.
To get to play with some guys that I really enjoyed playing against more in a respectful way because they were so talented. To actually get to play with them. So Ali, Stace, Big Joey Wagner, like all of those guys that I played against so many times and had so much respect for, I actually got to play with. And play against Sammy Burgess, a young Sammy Burgess for, Northern England was pretty cool. So, and we won that game, I think. Wayne was our coach.
Yep.
And we got to do the haka again. I think we did it 3 times. The funniest one of that was we did it at Leeds train station because the team did that 100 years earlier. And Tummy Tupou was beside me, Joe Tupou. And so we're doing it and Dave Kidwell was leading it because Rudge led it at Buckingham Palace and lost his voice. So then, Dave took over. And so we're doing, commentary like this. And then I thought we were going to start. And so I've gone to start and we didn't go to start. No, Tommy Tupou has lost it. It's peak hour in Leeds substation and people are watching us and here's this Aussie guy in the background who's absolutely ruining this haka. I'm trying to get myself back and get into the rhythm again. Oh my God. So,
Pitch up. Well, just sort of like tying together your time at the Warriors and also what we're talking about, your state of origin career and representative footy and that kind of thing. It's often mentioned, or there's often the idea that going to the Warriors means that it's the end of your origin and test aspirations. However, guys like yourself, Tatey, and now Kurt Capewell, Mitch Barnett, playing origin and test footy while being based in NZ, they're showing that that is a possibility. You must be proud to see that continue as it essentially started with yourself, sort of bucking the trend there.
Yeah, totally. It's awesome, mate. I suppose one of the reasons why I did go to the Warriors was because the Warriors were very supportive of me to continue to play rep footy, whereas the Bulldogs were wanting me to retire from it. So that was part of my decision process. And when the Warriors were really open to me continuing to play rep footy, that's exactly what I wanted to do. And the only way you can do that is to play good footy for the Warriors, which is what the Warriors wanted as well, right? So I'm really proud of all the boys that have been able to do that because, there was PJ Marsh, Kevin Campion, Richard Villasani. There wasn't too many of them before I was sort of able to come that were able to do that. And I don't know why, but it just didn't happen much. Mm-hmm. Brandy, did he play for New South Wales when he's at the Warriors or no?
I don't think he did.
Don't think he did at that point in his career.
So, it's sort of become one of those things that I don't know why, but players weren't getting picked, and I suppose coaches basically want the best team, so I don't think they care who you're playing for. So if you're playing the footy, you get picked.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, having captained the club so well throughout your career and through some of our most memorable moments that we've touched on, what would it mean to you to see the club finally get its first premiership?
Oh, it'd mean everything. That's one of the reasons why I went there was to be in that team that won the first premiership. Now, I wasn't able to do that, but that doesn't mean you don't want the club to achieve it. End of next month, we're coming over for the 30th anniversary, right? 30 years that the Warriors have been in the comp. So can't wait to get over there. And hopefully there's going to be a lot of excitement around the team potentially doing it this year. And it's been the same every year, mate. You know, like every year, everyone hopes that the Warriors is going to be the first time. Unfortunately, it hasn't happened yet. But, yeah, I can't actually wait for how the country reacts to when that happens, because you see what happens with, you know, with World Cups with the All Blacks, and you see what happens with the America's Cup, and you know, when the Warriors go good for a period, how crazy that goes, let alone when they win the first you know, premiership is going to be absolutely crazy. It'll be very good to be in New Zealand when that happens. So I'm hoping that's not too far away, 100%.
Yeah, we hope so too.
Yeah. Mate, I'll get Rob to start scanning the live comments for some fan questions. But while he does that, can I ask you about Sonny Fye? You led the club through an incredibly difficult period when we lost Sonny. Can you speak to us about that time in your career and what that was like when we lost him and having to deal with that going into that 2009 season?
Yeah, it's really hard to, I suppose at the time we thought we did everything we could to think that we were still really well prepared for the upcoming season, but we really didn't fire a shot that year. And yeah, I suppose it's not until the end of the year you look back on the year and you go, there was probably so many signs during the year that we weren't right, but that's just human nature. And particularly when there's someone that is such a powerful, bright personality in your group and so talented, right? He was one of our superstars coming through, and I absolutely loved going to training every day just to see Sonny Fye. And when that doesn't happen anymore, that's really, really hard to it's not as shiny. So I don't think you sort of understand the impact that it has on each individual until, you know, what you're aiming for is over, and then you get to sit down and reflect on all those moments. And Ivan tried absolutely everything, mate. We had people supporting us. We had all sorts of messages. We had, you know, Sonny's signature and his number on our jerseys. There's nothing else that could have been done. The only thing that could have been done was Sonny to actually come back to us in a living presence, because we tried everything else. And it's probably my only disappointment from that year is that we didn't fire a shot, and we talked that's what we were aiming to do. And that's sort of been a bit of a regret I've had since I've retired, is that, you know, when you say something, you really want to be able to back it up. And through no fault of anybody, we weren't able to. And I think that just goes to sort of show, you know, some of those things like emotion and like your head and all that sort of stuff can have an absolute impact on your performance. And it is more than just how skillful you are, how fast you are, how strong you are, how big or small you are. There's so much more to a great rugby league team, a great rugby league player, and whether you win the NRL or not. Learning a lot again about leadership that year. The Warriors taught me so much about leadership and how to deal with so many different variants that you're not aware of, and that probably are present in every scenario, but maybe not as evident what they are in the Warriors environment. And that's not a negative or a positive. I'm just saying that's how it is. And it's definitely helped me in my life since rugby league, being able to listen to people and respect people in different ways, because you do have to speak to people differently, and you do have to listen to people differently, because everyone is different. So I didn't go to the Warriors with that mindset, and I didn't have to have had, because I didn't have to deal with it. But, you know, Rubes and Wairangi and, you know, Logs, Lance, all those boys helped me understand that. And they were leaders in their own way without having a name or a title beside their name, and they did so much within the group to make so many things a lot better than what they would have been if they didn't.
Yeah.
And I suppose where I'm getting to is that year, it didn't matter what all of those boys did. It still wasn't enough. So I suppose the best way to explain it is that all of our hearts were broken.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the easiest way to explain what happened that year. We're just and that's our fans, that's everyone just had a broken heart. So
yeah. Well, we did. Yeah, all fans did, but you guys obviously lived it a lot closer than what we did.
Yeah.
Mate, last time you were on, as I said, we had this wonderful 3-hour conversation with you, and you did share so many wonderful stories. But one that really stuck out to me and that really hit me hard was you spoke to us about a tattoo you had done by Inia Taylor. And you told us a story about a turtle that had washed up on, I think it was Muriwai Beach.
Muriwai,
yep. And the connection between that and Sonny. Now, I don't want to harp on bad memories or anything like that, but do you mind sharing that story with our viewers? Because that story was quite powerful, and I still watch. After that we did little excerpts from our show, and I still watch that little story that you shared with us quite a bit, because it is very, very powerful and very.
So obviously, Sonny went missing, and I was talking to Tiki Tane and just sort of saying to him that I wanted to do something in respect to Sonny that I could sort of have with me all the time and get a tattoo or something like that. And talking to my wife, and she sort of said, so when someone special to you passes or goes missing or something happens, you're going to get a tattoo, are you? And I said, no, well, I wasn't thinking that way. And she said, well, that's what you're saying right now. Like, there's been a lot of things that happen in your life, and there's going to be a lot more that happens in your life past this. Like, it's all right to get a tattoo, but I don't know whether it should be just about one thing, right? And so I thought that was a really good point. So talking to Tiki, and, Tiki doesn't have too much skin that's not covered in ink. So it's probably the right person to talk to if you're going to get a tattoo. And he introduced me to the Cuzzy. He called the Cuzzy, which is Inia.
Yeah.
So, go out to Inia. He's got a studio, Helensville. I think it's out that way anyway. We went out there and just having a talk to Inia and sort of said to him about that and told him about, Sonny and everything that sort of happened. And then, his mind obviously was just going crazy. And he sort of said, yeah, absolutely, we can do something. And then my other concern was around having a sleeve, being Australian, and sort of feeling a little bit like a plastic, right? And people just looking at me like, yeah, he's been here 5 minutes and he goes and gets a sleeve and thinks he's, Māori or Samoan or something that, to do with New Zealand. And I sort of said to him about that too. And he brought up a point, mate, you don't have to be Chinese to eat Chinese food. Like, as long as you know the story, as long as you know what it means, all the different patterns, that's what's most important. You tell your story, it's your story. So then he actually designed it, and then he took me through what all the patterns meant in relation to parts of my life, my brothers, sisters, my sister, my brother, my mum, dad, my wife, my children, all of those sort of things are entailed into it. And then he said the centerpiece, we're going to make a turtle. And so I said, yeah, that's cool. Like, yeah, I like turtles. And he said, the reason why we're going to make turtle is because, this is what happens, blah, blah, blah. Went through the whole story about land and water. When water takes something special from the land, then the water gives something back to land in, appreciation or thank you.
Yeah.
That type of thing. So it took me 2 sittings. So there were 2 12-hour sittings. I went to India Sunday and Sunday. That was before the season started. And then on the Monday morning, India rang me really early, and he told me about this turtle that was up on Muriwai Beach. He said that Sonny will never be found because the land has received something from the ocean that is very special, which was this turtle. And there's a photo, which I think I've still got the clipping somewhere. This turtle was massive. and it would have been 150 years old. And he was spot on with everything he had said, word for word, because you're spending 24 hours with a guy and he's trying to tell you about the story of the tattoo and all the different carvings and the centerpiece. He's made it almost like it hovers over the whole tattoo. So there's a turtle in the middle, which has got the shell, and on the shell there's two eyes. And he said, because I'm spiritual, obviously talking about the whole Sonny thing, he said they're the spiritual eyes that overlook you, your family, and all your people that have been very special to you on earth and now post-life. So he said they'll always be with you, and he made it sort of as though that it's floating over all the family. There's shark teeth, which is strength. There's waves, which is strength, continuous. There's all these different patterns and designs that he's put in as well as Indigenous. So there's Samoan, Tongan, Māori, and obviously Aboriginal, as well as Celtic, which is my Welsh, Scottish, and English heritage. So he's integrated all of that into the one tattoo, which, I absolutely love, very proud of. It's in a place that I can show if I want to, but if I don't want to, it's my own personal business as well. But something that I reckon is significant for why I got it and represents all of the people that are no longer here that still are very special to me and how I live my life today.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. That's an amazing story. Again, like I get goosebumps hearing that, and like you said, it was just it was just such a unique time for the club, and I don't think there's been many other situations where a club has had to go through this kind of thing as well.
No.
Yeah. So
the crazy thing is, we went for a camp up the far point of New Zealand, and that was our last thing we did before we broke up. Christmas 2008 going into 2009, and we pretty much drove back from sort of Cape Reinga, pretty much. We drove back, is it Rangiputa? I don't know, somewhere like that. That's where we were. Anyway, we've driven back and we were in like, say, 4 or 5 Taragos, and I had Sonny in mind because he wanted to play the music in the car. And so, he played the music all the way back from there, which is, 4 hours, 5 hours drive. And we had probably 6 or 7 in our Tarago. We make it back, and then that's when we split up for Christmas. And then, obviously go back to training on, I think it was the 5th of January. And we got told pretty much at training that morning that Sonny had gone missing the day before and still hadn't been found. So that's when we went straight to Bethel's to sort of look for him, and we couldn't find him, and still hasn't been found. And I still believe what Inia said when he was doing the tattoo. It scares the living daylights out of me when things like that sort of ring really true.
Yep.
From a spiritual side of things, how things happen that are really eerie, that's just weird, like how it happens. And when that happened the next morning after I got the tattoo done, so the tattoo's finished after 2 weekends, and then the comp was going to start the following week. And on the Monday leading into the comp starting, that's when the turtle washed up onto the beach. So it was hours after he finished my tattoo. I think we had that next weekend off before the comp started. So we were leading into our week off before the comp starts. And that's when the turtle washed up like really early Monday morning. I got a text message from India, and he told me, he said, "Bro, Sonny won't be found. There's been a turtle washed up," because apparently the currents from Bethel's go around a Mirror.
Yeah.
So, it's sort of scary how it's all connected. And even one of Tiki's songs, he does the film clip on Bethel's Beach.
Yep.
And it's something like Rangi Toto or Rangi Puta or something like that it's called. And if you'd be able to correct me, but the actual name of the song means God of the Sea or King of the Sea or something like that. And he actually sung it at Bethel's. That's where the film clip was. And that's where obviously Sonny went missing. And as I said to you in that, I might have said to you last time, Tiki Tane was at training one day to do one of those Vodafone One Tribe opportunities, and we had the day off. And Sonny happened to be in there, like doing extras, which he always did. And so him and Tiki did the actual shoot, and they ended up then arranging to go to the studio, which ended up being the studio where I got the tattoo. That's where Tiki used to do some of his recordings. That's where I got my tattoo done, which is where Sonny was. And Always on My Mind was a song that they were singing. So Tiki was playing it. So if you actually Google Vodafone One Tribe, you'll be able to see Sonny and Tiki singing Always on My Mind, which again is a song.
Yeah, I think I have to.
Yeah, Sonny is always on your mind, right? So all crazy how it all links up. It's a bit scary.
Yeah, it is.
Scary but cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I love that story when you told it to us last time, and we got such a different viewership now. I just really wanted other people to hear that story from you. So thanks for sharing that, mate. Is there any questions in the chat, Rob?
Yeah, there's a fair bit in there, mate. There's a lot of love for you, Pricey, as we knew there would be, as there always is. So, look, Malcolm, one of our gold Patreons, favourite front row forward, full time. There's a few comments here about your book. A lot of people have read the book. I've read it as well. It was a fantastic read.
It was an opportunity, mate, to tell my story instead of sort of how people had either read it in the paper or whatever from a newspaper or a journalist perspective of a particular scenario. You know, that's how it was presented to me, was you're going to be able to tell your story exactly how your story is. And so it's pretty much the only reason why I did it, because my mum wasn't real keen on me doing it, and my wife, she was sort of, I don't know, like, what happens if it's one of those books that sells for 50 cents in the basket? Probably is there doing that now, but it was a great experience actually. And the guy who did it, Benny Blasky, used to work for Big League, and that was his first book he ever did. And I can't congratulate him and thank him enough for the job that he did. When you read it, it's as though I'm sitting there telling you my story the way I talk, which is what a book should be when it's an autobiography. So unfortunately, there's so many books that you read that's almost the person who writes it, their take on the person. Yeah. Whereas with Benny, he recorded every word the way I said it and the way I talk, and then he reprinted it exactly that way. And even the editor, he didn't change anything that was what I said. He gave recommendations on some things that he thought should or shouldn't be there, and there was hardly anything that we took out. So basically everything that I had said in our interviews that I did with Benny, which he came over for a week to do, that's what ended up in the book. So that was what was really cool. And then when we got to do the second edition, which was just the added bit, which was pretty much 08, had all the stuff that went on with captaincy and, Sonny and all sorts of sort of stuff. It was a really cool way to pretty much finished up my footy at the time anyway. So it was, writing a book to close one part of my life that I was so proud of and so blessed to have experienced. And to be New Zealand as a big part of that was really, really cool.
I got it for Christmas one year, and I think I read it in about 2 days. I just absolutely plowed through it. Yeah, there's a lot of comments here about the book actually.
There were a lot of pictures in it, which is important.
Yes, there was.
Why you read it so quick, mate?
Yeah, I remember there was a picture of you from in Brotown, that series Brotown. There was like a little picture of you from that. Yeah, and I think you said, I've made it, I've been accepted by the people of New Zealand now. I've been immortalised in Brotown.
Brotown was massive when I was over in New Zealand. So once you're on Brotown, that's when you made it. Yeah, no, that was good fun.
Brian, another one of our great gold Patreons, he said he wants to get the book signed from you. So we'll have to organise another meet-up sometime and get you along.
Well, tell him to come to the is it the Parramatta game that we're going to have the 30th?
Yep.
Okay.
There you go, Brian.
Brian, there you go, mate.
You and Troy and all those guys, you get on over to the Parramatta game. Old Boys Day, second last round. Bring your book.
I think we're coming over sort of Thursday, Friday, and is the game Friday night or is it?
I think it's Friday. I think
Friday night, yeah. So I'll go back. I'll come back to Aussie on Saturday, but I'll be there probably Wednesday late. So Thursday, Friday. I think Friday we've got a lunch. So yeah, whether he went into the club and leaves it there for me to sign or whatever and picks it up on game day or whatever. Yeah, I'm sure that we can work out something to get it signed, mate. Absolutely.
We'll organise something for you, Brian. We'll try and get that happening for you. Here's another thing that you were a part of, the Rugby League 2 video game. So it's actually a current topic at the moment because the new Rugby League game is coming out, I think, today or tomorrow.
Yeah,
but you were on the cover of the Rugby League 2.
That's right. No, it was pretty cool. The guy who made the game, his son is a massive Bulldogs fan. So when I was at the Bulldogs, they actually asked me to be on the cover. So my last year at the Bulldogs I was, and then when I went to the Warriors, they did another one, Rugby League 2, and then that's when I was on the cover, but in a Warriors jersey. And so they asked me to do that again. And I was talking to him the other day, and he was saying that Dad's bringing out another one. He was thinking of asking to be on the cover. I said, "Oh, mate, no one would know who I was."
Nonsense.
I think they would, mate. I think they would.
Maybe we'll be in there in a retro team or something. But it's really cool that the games are coming back out because the guys that do that, mate, I know when he first brought it out, there was no rugby league game, and he actually he mortgaged his house. So that's how much he backed it, and it was really, really successful. And I really hope this one's as successful because you've got all your EA Sports and all those. Like that's just money for jam for those guys. Whereas this guy actually, puts his family, at risk to be able to put it out. He's that passionate about rugby league, and he put out the rugby union game, and also I think they did a Melbourne Cup game as well, the racing game. But, I really hope it goes well, and I hope everyone really enjoys it because he's a very, very good man, and so is his kids and his family. And I love that he's, having another crack at having a rugby league game because I like being able to play rugby league on the PlayStation. So I'll be trying to get a copy, and hopefully there's a Steve Price and I can make him 99 and bring back cards downs and all that sort of stuff would be good.
They'll have to find a way to recreate your 50-meter try that you scored against the Knights that night at Mount Smart. That's got to be the best try of your career.
Well, the one that was my best that wasn't a try was probably the Origin one. Was the almost try.
That's right. Running down the sideline, fending off Craig Wing, wasn't it? Fending off half the team.
Going too fast, mate. Too fast for how my feet were going, and overbalanced, and absolutely pretty much had my nose on the try line and couldn't.
That's right.
Ball down.
That was the first Origin game I ever went to, and I always remember that. You were just like running away, like go on, get there. It's just
Origin try never scored.
Yeah. But that try against the Knights, you dead set a 15-meter try. They couldn't catch you.
No, I was really lucky that it was. I think it was a second rower.
Might have been Steve Simpson.
Steve Simpson was after me, and he even gave me a bit of a head start, and he still nearly got me. So lucky none of the halfbacks, fullbacks, and wingers decided to turn around and chase. They just thought, oh no, he'll get caught pretty quickly. And yeah, I was lucky enough the try line come up pretty quick.
Bit of love for the Foursquare here. Waipu Foursquare represent. All people remember that.
Absolutely loved having that store, you know, for our family and for me, a beautiful community, and really, really enjoyed it. Again, taught me so much about community, about business, and yeah, it was Foodstuffs were an amazing co-op to be a part of, and very, very hard to get into that, and they were very tough on me. I didn't get any favours, but yeah, truly, I wish I still was doing it, but yeah, obviously what I said before was the reason why we came home, and not regretting that decision at all. But yeah, if I could have been, I would have been hopefully a pack and save owner by now. That would have been good. In the big yellow shed, that would have been real nice.
That'd be iconic, yeah. Here's one for you, Pricey. Tracy Edmonds has said, Kia ora, can you give us an up the wires?
So that's the thing, right? Like I always just used to go the Warriors because that's what we were. I do love up the wires. It's so cool, and it's become, it's like everywhere you go. If there is any Kiwis around, that's all you hear them say, up the wires, Pricey, you know. Yeah. It's just really, really cool. So no, it's very, very smart from the club, and I don't know. It'd be interesting to see whether that's how you spell it, but who cares, right? No one's going to say that's how you should or shouldn't spell it because it's just really cool.
Can you give a runaway?
Is that?
Can you do the runaway?
Can you do the runaway?
What's that?
Oh, it's what all the players are doing. The runaway.
Oh, right. Oh, no. Right. I'll have to watch him. I don't know.
Dallin does it well, and so does Chance. Chance does it all the time. Big runaway.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
There's a lot of nice comments coming through here. So yeah, we just really appreciate you, and we appreciate the stories that you are sharing with us as well. Like Tanya said there, it's a beautiful story about Sonny. Really warmed her heart, and yeah, just thanks for sharing all that.
I suppose the other part with Sonny is that it wasn't just the effect he had on me and my teammates, like, you know, on the wives, on the kids, on the grandparents, on the the supporters, the sponsors, like everybody. He was definitely an angel. Like he touched so many people right across the community in so many different ways. And when you look back on it, you sort of do think that he was put here for a purpose, and that was to have a huge impact in a very short time. And he was able to achieve that in so many ways. And it's just really sad because it would be amazing if he still was around, because that laugh, how he was just so energetic and playful, and all that all the time was you do really miss it, but definitely don't forget about it.
We started this Ruin Hammer journey back in 2020, Rob and I, and one of the biggest highlights for us since we started this was being able to get so many ex-Warrior players to come on, and we had you on in 2021, and I keep saying it was the longest webcast we've ever done.
We're not following tonight.
No, we're going close though. But following on from that, we started doing pre-game meetups, fan events and stuff like that back in 2022. And the first one we ever did was at your mate's brewery at Sunny Coast. There we are. That's us with yourself and Campo that turned up. I'm actually wearing that very shirt tonight, the Pricey shirt.
I've still got the shirt. Yes.
And for us, for two nufties like Rob and I, it was like a surreal moment to not only have you and Campo go there, but then have the three of us standing there watching that game, wearing the Pricey shirts. Look at you in your shirt, mate. Kitted out in those shirts. Mate, it's such a wonderful memory that we have.
Sure is,
that,
yeah.
You know, being able to do that, and it was surreal. I remember leaving that game afterwards, and you know, your wife Jo was there, and I think might have been Joe's sister was there as well.
Yep.
Yeah,
Peter.
and
Yep.
and I remember Rob and I left there and driving back from Sunny Coast, and we were thinking, mate, we just watched the game sitting on the hill at Sunshine Coast with Steve Price.
It was a real highlight. It really was.
Oh, it should have been. We're with Peter Jackson and Joanne Price. Oh, there was this other guy named Steve Price. They were the entertainment, mate. Those two, they were the entertainment.
Mate, it was as I said, we just feel so fortunate that you know, we've been able to meet so many wonderful people, and mate, you're one of our favourite players of all time, and to come back on and share your stories again and give up your time. I just want to thank you for jumping on tonight, mate, for a chat. It's always great to reconnect with all of our past legends, and you're one of the biggest legends of the club, mate. And for us, you will forever and always. I know you played at the Bulldogs, mate, but for us, you will forever and always be Warrior 121. Thanks, Bryce. It's been awesome, mate.
Well done on what you guys do too. Like, you do a really great job, and I know the boys, talking to them, they really do enjoy coming on and having a chat with you guys too. So it's so good to see such passionate fans doing so much for the other passionate fans that don't get an opportunity to be able to have this sort of connection. So well done on what you do, because I know how much time and effort you do put in. And yeah, last week I did the old not turn up.
We'll always forgive you, mate.
That's all right. You've done the stupid thing now and shared us your phone number, mate. So we're just going to be pranking.
Yeah, big trouble now.
Before we let you go, mate.
Yeah.
Before we let you go, I just want to ask, because as I said, we are part of this big Warrior Nation here in Australia that's run and driven by a guy called Richie Morgan, and we do pre-game events pretty much every Australian game that we do. Now, I know you're going over to New Zealand for that Parramatta game, but if there's any chance you're around the Gold Coast when we play the Gold Coast Titans on, I think it's the 25th of August.
Yeah.
25th.
If
so that's the weekend.
That's a Saturday.
I think that's the same weekend, isn't it? That we're going to be in New Zealand.
Oh, it'd be the week. It might be the week before.
Week before. Okay.
Yeah.
No, but the week before, then I could be a chance. I'll have to have a look at me schedule. Yeah. So that's down the Gold Coast.
Down the Gold Coast is we play the Gold Coast at Seabus, but we're doing an event at the Sporting Globe beforehand.
So what day is that on? Is that a Saturday or
Saturday the 25th, I think?
I'm just trying to find
Now, I'm not trying to lock you in here, mate, but guys like Brian.
I'm just trying to find what round it is.
Because the 25th is
23rd. That's it. Round 20. Yeah, 23rd.
Yeah. 23rd. It's the 5:30 game at Seabus. Saturday, 23rd of August.
Yeah, mate. No, I could be able to do that. Well, you've got my number now, so you'll be able to.
We'll talk.
We'll talk.
My people will talk to your people. That's right.
That's it. That's the one. Yeah.
No worries. Okay, we'll be in touch, and if you can come down and be part of that, mate. There's so many fans that'd love to see you. Brian can bring his book and get it signed, and he'll be very happy about that. But like I said, mate, thank you very much for coming on, having a chat. We do appreciate you giving up your time tonight, mate. It's always great to chat with you, and not quite 3 hours, but nearly 2.
Yeah, that's right. All good, man. Thanks so much, and hopefully I'll see you in a couple of weeks. And anyone else that obviously is listening, g'day up the wires, and hopefully see a fair few of us over in New Zealand or down the Gold Coast if I get there. One of the games. That'll be good.
Beautiful. Thanks, Bryce.
Thanks so much, legend.
See you, boys.
Take care. Thanks for your time, mate. Cheers.
Oh, mate, how good's that?
Oh, mate, it's always fantastic. I mean, when the opportunity came up to potentially get him back on for a chat, I was just thinking like it was around Origin time, and he's the greatest ever Origin player that has played at the Warriors, played 28 games for Queensland. And like you ask anyone who their top 5 Warriors players are of all time, and he's in there for sure.
Absolutely.
A fantastic leader. He led by example, and as he said, he could talk. Remember him always keeping the referees honest.
Yep.
So many great memories of him. Gave his heart and soul for the club, and as he said, he just had a great love for the country as well, and how the people embraced him. He was. They used to say he was the most popular Aussie in New Zealand. So. Yeah, we're just as you touched on, we're very fortunate to have been able to strike these relationships with these guys, and it would be great, if we could get him to another event, because everyone could meet him. Because the 2022 round one, I remember he was just walking around just chatting to everyone. He's just such a fan of people. He's just talking to everyone. He's like, he's going up and introducing himself to the fans. And it's like, we know who you are, mate. You're like a club legend. He's like, oh, g'day. My name's Steve Price. I used to captain the Warriors. Well, yeah, we know.
Oh, it was funny. I can remember when we were at the brew house, and he walked in and we were kind of elbowing each other like he's here.
Yeah. He's here. He's actually here. Yeah, because he lives on the Sunshine Coast as well. So that was literally just around the corner from his place. But no, extremely fortunate. And like the first time we chatted to him, I literally had to pinch myself that we were across the screen from a club legend, a guy that I just grew up like idolizing as one of the great Warriors players. So it's always fantastic.
Yeah. So thank you to him, mate. Been going for 50 minutes.
Well, we're going to race through the rest of it. Yep.
We'll race through the hour-long show that we normally do in probably the next 10, 15 minutes.
That's it.
Let's just quickly touch on last week, leg 2 of the Mike Doreen Cup. We've retained that for the 6th straight season. There it is.
We've held it since 2020. Yep.
Yes, we have. We haven't lost it since the inception, mate. Tanner Boyd made his club debut. We became Warrior 293. Without going into too much detail of the game, what were your thoughts on that one, mate? Because it was one of those games where the scoreboard shows a convincing win, 34-14, but for a long time in that back end of the game, it was 22-14. The Tigers looked like they did have some points in them, and we were messaging each other saying this could be a lot closer than what it actually ended up being.
Yeah, absolutely. It was like that, and I think we knew that it was always going to take a little bit of time for the attack to click. But I think the good part was when we got our opportunities in that first half, we put on some tries, which was really important. But then the Tigers would answer, so it looked like one of those games that was going to go back and forward a little bit. We got to that second half, and I think the longer it went on, the better sort of Tanner Boyd looked, and we looked like it was towards that second half, we're looking quite a lot more fluent in the back line. Topiki had an absolute blinder. He was. I mean, we call him the half break king, and he made plenty of half breaks, but he made some full breaks as well in this game. And I'm really excited about the prospect of having him in the team for at least the next week or two, while Chance is recovering, because he's just too good to leave out. That performance was absolutely fantastic. Like you said, it was tight. Not going to that final 20 minutes when they got it back to 22-14, but we just had the reply. We put on the tries when we had to, and we put the game to bed. And it was good to get a little bit of a buffer as well for our for and against, to get those late tries and to kind of cash in a little bit. And it's something that we might need to do, or we'll definitely need to do moving forward, to build up that for and against, because it's going to be crucial.
Yeah.
Happy enough with the win, though. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. And Tanner Boyd epitomised that next man up mentality. He came in a hard position of halfback. The Warriors are on a bit of a run this season. We've had a great start to the season, and he's come in on the back of 2 losses and really driven the side around the park. I thought his kicking game was very, very good. Deep into the corners, his goal kicking was on point. I thought Chanel Harris-Tavita had a good game in the halves as well. And then obviously the young gun, Slater Halasima, with a try. Rocco Berry can't take a trick, the poor bloke, can he? Another injury. 6 to 8 weeks. 6 to 8 weeks they announced today, so that's not good. That's pretty much going to take him through to the end of the season. Just another one of those players that just cannot string games together. No. Our Dean Bell medal points for this week brought to you by Vital Man, Natural Australian Supplements for Men. Vital Man, take the lead. Who did you give your 3-2-1s to, mate?
I had to give my 3 points to Tane. He was absolutely brilliant. It's no secret. I say it every week. I'm a massive fan of his. He's an exciting player. He's not big in size, but he's big in heart, and he just looked dangerous every time he touched the ball. 2 points went to Roger. He got a try, made plenty of meters, and was very safe under the high ball. He was the one who actually got us out of trouble a number of times in that second half.
Yes.
Diffusing those bombs and made a couple of crucial breaks from memory. And my 1 point, I gave it to Jackson Ford. It could have gone to so many other players, but Jackson Ford really impressed me. He played 65 minutes at prop. He made another 40-odd tackles, and his go forward, he's really he's kind of unassuming in the way that he runs the ball up, but he's always making post-contact meters and dragging players with him. So I gave my 1 point to him.
Beautiful.
Yourself?
Mate, I went 3 points to RTS for the reasons you said. I just thought he got our set started well. He had a couple of line breaks and a lot of tackle breaks in that game. And it was off the back of him that I thought we were building our momentum. Ably assisted by the man you gave 3 points to in Tane Topiki. Couldn't go past those two blokes. They were absolutely outstanding. And I gave my 1 point to Tanner Boyd simply because he came into the side and just did a job for us.
Yes.
Beat out guys like, as he said, Jackson Ford. Aaron Clark was outstanding again. Wade Egan was strong. James Fisher-Harris was strong. But, yeah, they were my 3-2-1 points, which means RTS is climbing the ladder, mate. He's only 2 points behind Chance now. But Chance is still 23 points behind Aaron Clark. So
I was just going to say there's like a chasm between them and Aaron Clark. and to be honest, every week Aaron Clark could get points. Every week.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely could. There was another Warriors game on the weekend, played at Mount Smart before the men. The return of our NRLW Warriors women's side, their first game at home. It was awesome to see Captain Arpy Nichols lead the team out from the tunnel, creating their own Dean Bell moment. Emulating that 95 game one entrance. It's something those girls will remember forever, and the girls will buoyed by that by playing at the home ground. Mate, it was an outstanding game of footy after coming up against the reigning premiers the week before and getting done 30-6. The girls turned it on and beat a Parramatta side 14-0. And I think the thing that would keep Coach Ron Rivers happy is the fact that they kept that scoreline to 0. They're defensively seems to be something that's going through our club at the moment, where our first grade, reserve grade. Now our women's team having a resilient goal line defence. Huge game for Michaela Brake, who is the Rugby 7 superstar. She had over 264 metres. She equalled the all-time game record of 16 tackle breaks in a game in only her second game of rugby league, which is absolutely outstanding.
It's like a nightmare to tackle. Yes.
Oh, just a ball of energy, an absolute ball of energy. She had 224 metres, 51 post-contact metres, 6 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks and a try. Arpy Nichols at the back, 128 metres, 23 post-contact metres. She's showing her leadership from the back. Another great game by the girls. Our 3-2-1 points for Vital Man take the lead. I gave 3 points to Michaela Brake, 2 points to Arpy Nichols, and 1 point to Patricia Maliapo, the talented 5'8". That means we've got 4 girls all on 3 points at the moment for our season 3-2-1 points. So it's going to be a tough fight for those girls amongst each other. Double header this week, take on the Knights at McDonald Jones Stadium. We'll talk about that in a minute. We'll just quickly go through the Warriors' pathways. The Flag had a 44-42 win against the Tigers. They were down 38-16 with like 9 minutes to go and pulled off a miraculous victory in that game. And the Cup continued on their winning way, 22-14 against the Magpies. That's 12 wins in a row, 16 from 17 for the season. Jet Cleary is now the halfback in that squad with Tanner Boyd coming into first grade. So Jet earning his stripes in reserve grade at the moment. Quick round 19 recap. Friday night, Sharks 24 over the Dolphins 12. Nico Hines leading the Sharks to a much-needed victory there. Saturday, the Storm 26 over the Knights 14. It was a depleted Storm side, but they were just too good for the Knights. Roosters 31 over the Dragons 24. Sam Walker returned for his first game of the season. Was involved in everything, including a sin bin, I think. And Bulldogs 12 over the Cowboys 8. Lachlan Galvin benched or dropped from the 17 in this game. Scoreless second half. It was actually quite a dour game of footy, that one to watch.
It was, yeah.
And then Sunday we had the Warriors 34 over the Tigers 14. The Panthers 32 over the Eels 10. Panthers with their 5th straight win in a row, cementing a place in the top 8. And the Broncos 26 over the Titans 14. It was the first time the Broncos had their first choice spine of Walsh, Mann, Reynolds and Hunt playing together for the first time. Sorry if I'm racing through all this, people, but, it's been a long show. The ladder, round 19 ladder, the Raiders on top. No change to the top 4, sorry. The Raiders on top on 32 points. They're 2 points clear of the Storm in second and the Bulldogs in third, both those teams on 30. The Warriors in fourth on 28. Then there's a 4-point gap to the Broncos, who remain in fifth on 24. Panthers 1 point behind them in sixth. The Sea Eagles and Roosters a point behind them on 22 points to round out the top 8. And then it's the Sharks just outside the top 8, also on 22 points. The Dolphins on 20, Dragons on 18, Cowboys 17, Knights, Tigers, Eels, and Rabbits all on 16 with, I would say, no hope of playing finals. And the Titans last on the ladder on 14 points. Before I move on to the NRLW results, mate, what are your thoughts on all the talk about the Titans this week with Desi? First of all, being told that he's going to retire, or he's saying he's going to, and then coming out and saying he's not going to retire. What are your thoughts on that?
It's typical, isn't it? We had a laugh during the week when they asked Desi about it, and Desi's like, "Oh, I haven't heard anything about that." Said, "Yeah, well, they're not going to talk to you about it at the moment, are they?" Look, it really looks like there's going to be a bit of a coaching merry-go-round happen. There's a few ex-coaches, I think, sort of waiting in the wings there. There's a lot of talk about Brad Arthur. A lot of whispers around Josh Hannay, the assistant coach at the Sharks.
Yep.
Is he at the Sharks? And he was a Queensland assistant coach, very highly regarded. Blake Green is getting a lot of mentions about potentially being the Newcastle replacement coach. They're talking about Adam O'Brien, saying that there's two different thoughts. Like, they're saying he needs more time because he got the team in the finals 4 out of 5 years, but most of those times they've scraped into 8th spot.
Yeah.
So it's not a lot to hang your hat on, but I don't know what's going on with the Titans, but something needs to change in that club. They've still got like a fairly good roster, but for whatever reason over the years they just haven't been able to put it together consistently. Des is no doubt a great coach, but they're saying his technique's a little bit dated. They talking about communication issues with the players and that sort of thing. But I don't know what's going to happen. It's just great to not be in these conversations though as a Warriors fan.
Kieran Foran has announced he's going to retire at the end of the year. One of Des's biggest supporters. And then talking about the Knights, they're talking about Kalen Ponga has engaged a player manager in New Zealand to player agent or something. Rugby.
A bit of a weird one, but then again, there's a lot of innuendo about that. Old Bulldog Richie last night on 360 was saying that he will not play for the All Blacks because he doesn't want to, except he did an interview a few years ago where he said it would be like the pinnacle of
his dream to play for the All Blacks.
So there's all sorts of stuff going on, so who really knows? But I can understand him not wanting to really waste his best years at the Knights if they're clearly not going anywhere. It's hard to say.
They're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere.
Well, hopefully that continues this week anyway.
Exactly. I'll recap round 2 of the NRLW. It was the Bulldogs 12 over the Tigers 8. Bulldogs led 12-0, I think, at halftime. Tigers came back in that one, the difference being goal kicking. Saturday, the Sharks 56 over the Raiders 6. That Raiders' poor home record continues. That's 8 losses in a row at home since 2023. Emma Veron formerly Emma Tonegado, with a 4-try haul, equaling the most number of tries in a game by an NRLW player. The Roosters 24 over the Dragons 10, reigning premiers too strong in that one. The Knights 26 over the Cowboys 6. I thought the Cowboys were incredibly disappointing at home. Then we had on Sunday the Warriors 14 over the Eels 0, a shutout by the Warriors against the Eels side that beat Cronulla last week. So that's a good win for the Warriors girls. And then the Broncos 44 over the Titans 4. Convincing win by the Titans, despite having Regan Hicks sent off for a dangerous tackle. Mate, Titans women's side are having issues similar to their men's team. They're very, very disappointing for the Titans women.
That's for sure.
So in the NRLW, the Broncos, Roosters and Bulldogs, they're all on top of the ladder with 4 points. A perfect 2 from 2 to start the season. Then it's the Sharks, Dragons, Knights, Cowboys, Warriors and Eels, all on 2 points, and in that order based on for and against. And then the Tigers, Titans and Raiders yet to taste victory for season 2025. Round 20, mate. Round 20 this week? Round 20, isn't it? Yep. Round 20.
Right.
Warriors take on the Newcastle Knights. Have you got the team list for this one?
I have got the team. That's Sunday, 20th of July, 4:05 p.m. kickoff with a Channel 9 game this week, mate. It must be a blue moon or whatever it is, because we're the match of the day because we're playing.
We'll be going to the game.
We're going to the game, so we don't even get to watch it and give them our ratings so that they show us more on Channel 9. But yeah, as you said, I'm coming down to Sydney this weekend. We're going to make our way up to Newcastle on Sunday morning, so really looking forward to that. But the team that Webby has named to run out, fullback Tane Topiki, on the wings, Dallin Wateni-Zelezniak and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. Adam Pompey and Kurt Capewell coming in at centre and to replace Rocco Berry. In the halves, Chanel Harris-Tavita and Tanner Boyd playing his second game for the club. And forwards, James Fisher-Harris, Wade Egan, Jackson Ford in the front row. On the back row of Leka Halasima, Marata Niokore and Aaron Clark. On the interchange bench, Timare Martin, Jacob Laban, Dimitrik Vaimunga, Tanner Stower-Smith. And the extended bench is Sam Healy, Eddie Iremia Tuiava, Bunty Afoa, Ali Leatawa, and Kailis Fatialofa.
No real surprises there, mate, to be quite honest.
Not really. I kind of expected that that Webby would get Capewell back there in the centres, obviously with Rocco out. We need to keep Bradman Best quiet. He's always the danger man. He can do a lot of damage out there on his edge. So it makes sense to put an experienced player up against him. He's done a job in the past. He had a really good game against Herbie Farnworth. Kept him quiet in that match against the Dolphins there, and he's done a job at centre every time he's been called upon. So I think that's a good move from Webby. Although, do we see any movement there? Does Ali Leatawa, if he proves his fitness, come into the side? Do you think he'll stick with that 17?
I think he'll stick with the 17. I think Ali needs to get some metres under his belt.
Yeah.
Reserve rate. I don't see, and again, the defensive capabilities of Kurt Capewell coming into that centres and marking up on Bradman Best, I think is going to be really important. I think Tanner Boyd's kicking game is going to be important. The Knights have named Dane Gagai at fullback. Knights are without 3 of their biggest strike weapons, Kalen Ponga, Fletcher, Sharp, and now Dylan Lucas, who's been playing quite well for them on an edge there. Their real danger, as you said, is going to be Bradman Best, and taking away the time and space he has and make sure he doesn't get any good early ball is going to be important. But Dane Gagai has played fullback before, but he's a couple of years older now. He's a yard or two slower in pace. And I think Tanner Boyd will work him around at the back with his kicking game.
Test him under the high ball.
Yeah, test him under the high ball, nullify him, try and take him out of the thing. I think this game will go similar to how last week's game went. I think we'll win by like maybe 20 or 24 in the end, but I think there's going to be a period of this game where there's like 8 points in it, and rather than pacing the lounge room, you might be pacing up and down the stairs at McDonald Stadium.
The Warriors supporters, mate.
However, I do believe now, like coming into round 20 and where we're sitting on the ladder, we need to start putting points on these teams that are below us and really have no chance of playing finals footy. We need to start making statements. Yeah, making sure that our attack is good. We're putting scoreboard pressure on some of these teams and really putting them to the sword. Because we got this game, then we got the Titans, who are a team under pressure, and then we got 2 tough games after that where we play the Dolphins and the Bulldogs back to back, which are going to be 2 very tough games before we have a run of, I think it's Parramatta, Dragons, Titans
again, and
Manly to finish off the season. So we have a relatively good run home, but we got to make sure that we win the games that we're expected to win. That's the key. That we win these games that we're expected to win. What's your thoughts, mate? What do you reckon? Like I've come out and said it'll be a 13+ victory, but there's going to be a bit of a wait for that to happen, and we'll get them at the back end of the game. What are you thinking?
Oh, look, I think it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight for most of the game. I think we might pull away and sort of win by 14. Like I think we'll be up by 2, and we'll be clinging to like a 2-point lead, and then I think we'll get a couple of late tries and push us out to that 14-point margin. Like they're still like they don't leak a lot of points. The Knights, they're still quite good defensively. It's just attack is where they're struggling. So if we can keep their big guns quiet, I think we'll be able to get away with a comfortable enough victory. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Nice. And as you said, this is at McDonald Jones Stadium, and the Warriors supporters bay has sold out for this weekend, which is great. And I'm hoping that the fans stick around after we beat the Knights, because at 6:15, the Warriors women, the NRLW side, will be taking on the Knights at McDonald Jones Stadium as well. I don't know if you've got the team list there, mate, but if you haven't, it's the same 17. Ron Griffiths has named the same 17 for the 3rd week in a row, which is a massive luxury to not have injuries, be able to have faith in the girls that have been pulling on that jersey and that did a job last week on Parramatta. Knights it's Ron's returning to the place where he has won 2 premierships. There's a couple of girls that have played for the Knights. Layshawn Albert-Jones played a couple of seasons at the Knights. Emanita Paki also played a couple of seasons at the Knights. So there's a couple of girls returning to where they have played before. But this is going to be another great game of footy. Knights have a bit of talent in their side in Jessie Southwell, the current New South Wales halfback, at halfback. Yasmin Clydesdale, their outstanding back rower, who is a Gillaroo. But, mate, I like our girls. I was really impressed with what I saw from our girls last week. I think our 6, Maliapo, is playing some really good footy. Arpy Nichols has a new lease of life at the back, and Michaela Brake on that wing, she is just dangerous, absolutely dangerous. Can break tackles. As I said, 16 tackle breaks last game. She's just going to get better and better each game. And I think I'm hoping the fans stick around to watch these girls play, show them some love and support. I think we'll get a double up there at Newcastle. I think it'll be the Warriors women with a 8-point victory, mate.
Yeah, I think the girls can win. Girls by 4.
Nice. All right, let's quickly run through the round 20 NRL. Thursday night, Dolphins versus Cowboys. I think the Dolphins. Yeah, Dolphins.
Has to be Dolphins. It's at Suncorp, so
Friday night, Sharks versus Roosters is the first game on Friday night. Sharks at home again.
Some teams must have all away games to finish the season, eh? Actually, after last week when you mentioned about Manly, I looked. They've only got 1 home game in the next 6 weeks. I was like, well, it has to be about that.
Which is us.
Probably. Yeah.
It is. Last round against us.
Yeah. So they just got all away games coming up. Sharks Roosters is a bit of a tough one, but I'll stick with the Sharks at home.
I'm going to go the Roosters. Roosters desperate to get back in the top 8. I'm going to say Roosters, or maybe they're in the top 8. Panthers Rabbits is the second game on Friday night.
Panthers comfortably. Yeah,
Rabbits
are struggling. Yeah, no, I still think.
No Isaiah Yo. Yeah?
Yeah, I'll stick with the Panthers.
So will I. Rabbits have a shocking injury. I think Katie Walker's been ruled out for the season now.
Yeah, not a good run.
So yeah, Panthers for me. Saturday, Raiders versus Eels at GIO Stadium.
Raiders by plenty.
Yep. Bulldogs versus Dragons. Interesting one. Cameron Serraldo's finally made the decision. Toby Sexton, not named. Lachlan Galvin gets to wear the 7 jersey and partner Matt Burton in the halves. Thoughts on that?
Oh, look. Yeah, we should have asked Pricey what he thinks about the whole Galvin thing being an ex-Bulldog. That would have been interesting. I missed one there, but look, it's interesting about just quickly on Toby Sexton. Everyone was bemoaning the fact that he's getting dropped, but if you look at his statistics in the team, he hasn't actually really produced that much in the position. Hence why they're trying to make a change. Galvin hasn't really either, but this is his opportunity to come in there and obviously try and become the missing piece that Cam Serraldo is looking for. But they'll be way too good for the Dragons, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
What else is there? What's the next game after that? I think they'll be way too good for the Dragons as well. Storm versus Eagles in Melbourne.
Sure, it's not going to get moved to Brookvale.
No, this one's in Melbourne, mate. This one's at Amy. Cam wants to back to this one, but no Pappenhausen.
Oh, look, I think Melbourne will hammer them. Yeah, I think they'll be way too good. Yeah.
Mate, Tigers versus Titans at Leichhardt Oval.
Oh, is this Spoon Bowl?
No, because the rabbits would be the Spoon Bowl.
Tigers, to their credit, are not in that conversation this year. I think the Tigers have showed a lot more over the past few weeks, even though they've lost. Well, they lost last week, they won week before, than the Titans, who just seem to be demoralised. I'll go the Tigers at Leichhardt. Yeah,
I'll go the Tigers at Leichhardt as well. I'll go the Tigers. And finish off the round, the Knights versus Warriors, with both tipped the Warriors. Broncos have the bye. And then the NRLW round 3. Oh, fuck. The Raiders are at home. The Raiders versus the Eels kick off Saturday footy for the women. Mate, I'm going to Eels. The Raiders.
I can't tip the Raiders anymore. I've been tipping them and they've been losers, so I'll go the Eels as well. Yeah.
Bulldogs versus Dragons on Saturday. Interesting game here where two sisters will be playing against each other. Bulldogs have been going good. I like the Dragons. I'm gonna go the Dragons in this one.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I think the Bulldogs fairy tale might run out of a bit of steam this week, and I think the Dragons will be a bit too strong for them. Yeah.
Sharks versus Cowboys. Mate, Sharks coming off that 56-point win. I'm gonna do Sharks at home.
Yeah.
Sunday, Tigers versus Titans. Two teams that have failed to fire a shot all year. I'm going to pick the Tigers.
Tigers double.
Simply because the Titans, our good friend Georgia Hale, out suspended this week. Her defence will be missed in the middle of the park. I think the Tigers will get them.
Yeah, Tigers. Tigers to win both grades. Yeah, both.
Mate, the game of the round in the women's will be the Broncos versus Roosters, both undefeated. Broncos at home, though. I'm going to pick the Broncos in this one.
Roosters.
Yeah. And Knights versus Warriors. We've both gone for a Warriors win.
Was up the West. Yeah.
At where are we playing? McDonald Jones.
McDonald Jones.
The Warriors and McDonald Jones Stadium, as Rob said, he is coming down for this game, ticking off a bucket list item to attend the game at McDonald Jones and meet some of the locals. I know he's looking forward to
excited about that.
Come up there. There is a pre-game event organised by the Godfather, who is Richie Morgan of Warrior Nation, where we'll be meeting at approximately 2 p.m., 1:30 p.m., 2 p.m. at West Leagues Club up there in Newcastle, and then doing the walk to the stadium at about 3:30. I think it takes about 15 minutes. do a walk to the
Yeah.
stadium at 3:30 to get in there to watch the boys play. So if you go to the game this weekend up at McDonald Jones Stadium, make sure you get to West Leagues, meet up with the Warrior Nation, come say hello, and then we'll do the walk to the stadium. The usual suspects will be there. The boys flying, Brian and Troy flying down from Queensland. We've got Aaron and
Ricky,
Michael flying in from New Zealand as per usual. Aaron will be on the drum. Brian will be on the triangle. Yeah. So looking forward to that. And then stay tuned over the next couple of weeks. We do have some more pre-game events organised by Richie Morgan coming up for the Bulldogs game, the Titans at Seabus, where you heard it here first. We may be able to get the great man Steve Price to that one.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. Yeah.
And Manly at 4 Pines. Before we wrap up, mate, a bit of housekeeping.
Yeah, absolutely. We mentioned it before, but make sure you check out Vital Man, men's supplements. Vital Man, take the lead. And if you go to vitalman.com.au, you can check out the meal replacement shakes and other products that are available there. Make sure you use the code RU and Hammer, and you will get 20% off your order. So don't miss out there. A massive thanks to our Patreon supporters. A lot of you guys have been in the chat tonight. Thank you for your continued support. If you would like to support us in what we do here at RU and Hammer, make sure you go onto Patreon, look at some of the packages we have on offer. There's lots of entitlements there for you guys. We let you know first about all the guests that we have on. All the other news goes to our Patreon supporters first, because we appreciate so much what they do for our support. And there are packages that entitle you to some of our fantastic RU and Hammer merchandise. So go and have a look at that. And speaking of RU and Hammer merchandise, make sure you go and check out our Redbubble store. There's a couple of new designs up there. Make sure you check out the Aaron Clark, the Luke Metcalf shirt, James Fisher-Harris, and by popular demand, the Up the Wires 2025 design is out, celebrating some of the fantastic moments that we've already had in season 2025 so far. Hammer's got something there. So there's plenty of, we got it hot off the press.
Hot off the press, mate. I've got the Aaron Clark shirt here.
There we go. There's the Aaron Clark shirt. Yep.
There is the James Fisher-Harris.
Yep, James Fisher-Harris shirt. Yeah, make sure you go and check that out through our Redbubble store.
And got to give some love to
Luke Metcalf. Yeah, so like all these guys feature on the Up the Wires shirt 2025. If you loved the one from 2023, and I know you guys did because it's been by far and away the biggest selling shirt that we've had, make sure you check out the 2025 version. There's a few similarities there, but same but different. So make sure you jump on our Redbubble store and have a look. They're always having specials on Redbubble. So jump on there through our store. And thank you to all you guys who have bought and repped the merchandise. We really appreciate it. A small portion of that does come back to support us. So thank you guys very much.
Absolutely. And we'll be, one of these shirts will be a giveaway this week at the pre-game function. So we'll be bringing that up, and it'll be a lucky door prize. We'll work out something with Richie Morgan about how to give one of these shirts away. But yeah, we will be giving away one of these shirts at the pre-game function. So if you want a RU and Hammer player shirt, make sure you get along to the function, and we will be giving one of these shirts away. Mate, that wraps up tonight's show. A massive thank you to Warrior 121 Steve Price for jumping on the show. Yeah,
legend.
Want to just thank everyone that jumped in and watched the show tonight, who support us, jumped into the chat. We really do appreciate it. If you get around Newcastle, get up to the game this week. Come up and say hello to us. We always love chatting to like-minded fans. That's it. We'll be back next week, Wednesday night, 6:30.
Yeah. Back to Wednesday night, 6:30. That's our slot at the moment. So yeah, make sure you check out the socials. You'll never miss out on any of our shows. Hope to catch up with a lot of you guys at McDonald Jones Stadium this weekend if you're there. But otherwise, we'll see you when we see you. And take care, everyone. And up the wires.
Up the wires. Thanks, guys.